तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में निहा 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 तेरी याद 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 तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में निहा 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 तेरी याद 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 तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में निहा तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में निहा तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में निहा तेरी यादों का तेरी याद में निहा
Hello and welcome everyone to the Unified Premier League. My name is Eric Deserix Botran. Joining me on the desk is the no-nonsense Dean Rebelfoot. Wait a second.
Oh,
This isn't Wild
whoa.
Rift. What are you doing here, Alk Battery? Dimitri, Alk Battery Toledo, here and in the flesh. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. Last time I was on here, I'm pretty sure I had pink hair and it was like really washed out. So, obviously, a little bit of a departure from Rebel Fox here, but nonetheless, it's big shoes to fill, and I hope to do a pretty good job at that.
Oh, I'm sure you will. It's been a long time. At this point, I feel like we're back in 2019, the Ascension Esport days. It's been so long
Oh,
since we've been reunited.
wow. That is a callback and a half. Jeez, I almost forgot about that.
Well, getting on to matters that we have going down here today, we do have a matchup, and that is going to be Supernova versus the University of Toronto. And now, with these names, University of Toronto, standing strong in the Eastern Collegiate Conference, being able to qualify over there. Supernova having some work to do over in the Proving Ground Circuit qualifiers with Maryville. Both of them trying to get that boost of morale as we head into the matchup here today.
They are trying to find any kind of wins, and obviously using UPL as a training grounds to just try stuff out, right? Stage games are important, and for both of these teams who are obviously also competing, one in the collegiate realm, but also in proving grounds as a secondary, using other tournaments as potential training, and like you were saying, the morale boost to say, hey, this is what's working in our camp is always, I think, a really strong way to run a team.
So, starting to break down these teams, I want to start off with Supernova because we do have some shakeups coming for them. Working with a different roster at the start, of 2022. Also using a new coach, MLBD, having to retire because he wanted to pursue coaching, not coaching, teaching. Yeah,
There you
retire
go.
from coaching to coach again. Now, I want to pronounce this right. Nelv is the head coach. Now the new head coach who has taken over from the JP Academy scene for Supernova.
Wow. I mean, that is a kind of a huge change, right? Like coming over from not just the LJL, but also just coming in from the Academy League under that and coming to coach in America. That's like a huge change, like culturally speaking. This guy's residency or kind of country of birth is South Korea. So hopefully this means for Supernova as a whole that we're just going to be seeing a whole bunch of different stuff. Like obviously Dylan is a huge friend of ours coming from the broadcasting side, but now with a kind of a new brains behind the brawn here, this should be pretty fun. I think a new identity for Supernova could be in the hands here.
Okay, I'm actually getting some notification right now from Shaunatonin. Love the guy with all my heart. He is also from KR and Rocks Tigers Academy he's coached for. So,
Ooh.
yeah, you got quite the bit here as we start heading into the draft for Supernova versus University of Toronto.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Wait, Rocks Tigers is a pretty big those are big again, another big shoes to fill there if you're coming in, but coming in, obviously, Supernova are on red side, so we'll have to see what they can do for both these AD carries. We are playing on the new patch. We've got Renata Glask, who's available and no longer disabled. We got to see a little bit of her today in Europe, so this is a lot of fun. I think I love Renata. I've been playing a ton of it in the bot lane, and it's really, really strong in most of the support matchups that are popular.
And speaking of the bot lane, we do have an interesting matchup in terms of, we talked about this a little bit, Psycho versus Psycho mode.
Yeah.
This is going to be hell for the play-by-play to actually try and distinguish these two, but the thing that pops out between these two ADCs for me is Psycho tends to go for the scalers more than anything else, where Psycho mode, see, it's already happening,
Yep,
tends
there
to
we
go
go.
for something that's much more prone for early aggression. We haven't seen him on Zeri so far this season for Psycho mode, but it's something that I'm going to be keeping a close eye on for this draft to see if University of Toronto want to grab it.
Exactly, and continuing to talk about the bot lane support pair there, we also just have Panda Crossing and Pseudo. I don't think for their bot lane, they've been playing some enchanters. There's a little bit of like tank play, but it's not really all there. Where Pseudo has definitely kind of fit both roles so far across UPL and Proving Grounds. So I'm interested to see kind of what we get from the bot lane as a whole, because I think there's a lot of champions that are going to be relatively new that maybe a lot of people aren't used to.
I think one thing that Toronto will have to keep a close eye on will be this top side of the match for Supernova. top side of the map, Fire Theft and Baco play very aggressive champions. You know, the Renekton, the Graves, the Gwen coming out of Fire Theft. Baco loves the Lee Sin, the Xin Zhao, the J4. Lots of front-loaded damage that can come at you very quick before you even get a chance to really respond. A lot that can tower dive on top of that. And the reason I'm bringing this up is for Notice Me Senpai and Alton. They are new players. This is their first season playing competitively here for University of Toronto in the collegiate scene. So it's a lot of pressure for them to have to deal with going against these members.
Yeah, and again, U of T, if you were watching CeeLo last year, these guys made top 8. It's a pretty prestigious award considering the fact they had to go through a top 64 bracket. They made it all the way there, and filling in shoes, like you were saying, is going to be really important for them. But we talked about the topside matchup. We were looking into this matchup. We're like, okay, Gwen, Graves, like you just said, they're both up. And on blue side, we still have Jinx available on the patch, so there is a lot open here that Supernova can take afterwards.
And that Jinx is going to be locked in. This is one of the more contested picks I was expecting between Toronto and Supernova. Both of these ADCs playing in. So now, got your ADC locked in. There's a lot that can go for Supernova. There's a lot of power picks you can really take if you want to grab that early aggression that we were talking about earlier. Nope, they're going straight for the scaling, going to lock in the Aphelios for Psycho.
This is basically, if anybody's been watching competitive league, this is just how it is. You pick Jinx on one side, you trade for Aphelios. It is just the way it is at this point. Maybe there's a Zeri locked in later on, but like she's banned, so at this point we're getting that. And now with Tahm Kench, I think Tahm Kench has kind of had a really big revival in terms of his support position priority. He's really started to come into his own, so I'm excited to see what U of T come up with as a response, because now you know the support matchup. Most likely they're going to pick up another jungler here, but we're getting more enchanter play here, Deserux. I'm a little bit on the safe side. I don't know how I feel about Soraka, but I'm not going to even look at the hover. I'm going to pretend like that just doesn't exist. I'm going to just imagine that is the Xin Zhao that we've constantly been seeing.
I don't know. We've been seeing some wild things come out of Toronto. I was telling you about before we even started up this draft that DefRef, who is Blue Dream, by the way, enjoys to play the Mordekaiser mid. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw anything. We saw some spicy picks come out of Toronto. That would have been a fun one to see. But nope, just going straight for the Graves. Going to play it safe. But ooh, we've been waiting for it. Brand new champion, ready to hit the map.
Wait a minute. So then where's Tahm Kench going? Where's Renata going? Okay, thankfully it was a hover. I got baited this time. I just said I wasn't going to talk about Master Yi, and you got me hyped up. I was like, I'm ready for Renata Glass, but she's not here. It's going to be Nidalee. This is a pretty good matchup going up into the Graves, which can still be flexed, right? You were talking about it earlier, where Notice Me Senpai can play the Graves, but Ulton has really been showing a lot of preference towards this Graves. So, kind of keeping their cards open. We still have Gwen available, and we're talking about Renekton being in the game potentially. These are really strong champions that I think for either side they still have available to them.
With the second phase of the draft now done, a lot of targeting towards the solo lanes as Tryndamere, Camille, Akali, and Kayle all taken off the map. The counter pick will go over towards Supernova. We had made mention that Fire Theft really does enjoy that Renekton pick. It's one of his most played champions over in that top side. That will be locked in for Supernova.
Okay, and so U of T have decided to ban not only Camille, but also the Tryndamere, which obviously kind of screams to me that they are trying to protect their top side. I'm going to keep hammering away at this Gwen until something is done about it. It seems like they're going to lock in the Jace. Jace can technically be flexed into the mid lane, but this is going to probably just be one of our matchups here, as U of T, they're just picking everything at this point. They want all melee all the time. The one thing I am worried about for their team is they have really strong skirmishing, but some of their tools don't quite fit together. I'm really kind of looking at how this Jinx is going to be propelled in the game.
For Supernova, what I'm looking for is, to go even on the bot side, you don't really need to have too much of a commanding lead. The big thing is going to be this top side. This is a classic duo that we've seen before, the Nidalee and Renekton being taken towards that top side, which provides so much early aggression you can play off of, so much early priority, so much early damage. If Supernova can get a lead up there, that is what can bleed down towards the rest of the lanes and pretty much get them into a state where they can get victory.
I think a lot of people, if you're like looking at this, just the AD carry matchup, it's happening everywhere, right? Like we have Aphelios Jinx being played in almost every single league. It's a lot of Aphelios trying to play aggressive in the bot lane, trying to make sure that he can find kills onto Jinx. Keeping Jinx up alive with the Soraka will be really important, obviously, for U of T. You have a lot of poke coming in from the Jace. The coming kind of circling back coming after this draft, I'm a little worried as to how they get this Jinx online, because when we talk about this champion, she's a little bit weaker than a lot of AD carries just baseline from her kit, but it is after you get those resets, when we see her start to pop off and get excited, that this champion turns into a monster in team fights. And I'm not seeing a lot of damage from them. Obviously, Jinx will, with a lethal tempo, will have a lot of damage, a lot of range to abuse. But you look at Supernova, and they have a ton of threat overload. You get on one target, they just die.
Yeah, that I echo that thought completely. The one thing I do like for Toronto though is they do have some level of protection. You can try to keep this Jinx alive a lot longer with the Soraka, and the Galio, of course, is one of the best when it comes to trying to peel for your marksman, as well as some of the long range poke that you have coming out from the Jace pick. But again, that is kind of matched as you look on the other side. You do have a Nidalee, which does provide a lot of momentum to try and get that early pressure for the lanes and provide some poke of itself. And, every time I see a Sylas, I always got to look at the other side of the map and be like, hey, what am I going to steal away? I'm looking at stuff like the Hero's Entrance. That could be a great engage to get Supernova right in there.
You're looking at Hero's Entrance. I'm going to be the negative Nancy. I'm looking at Jace ult, like, ooh, I'm going to steal it and checks notes. I'm going to become ranged / melee based. Kind of talking about it from Supernova's side, they do have a lot of agency with where they want to go. Obviously, the top lane matchup is going to be complete Armageddon. This Jace matchup versus Renekton, as soon as any jungler interferes with that, it's kind of just going to go boom. There's going to be a summoner blown, someone's probably going to die, we're going to force TPs. I'm looking for how both junglers interact with this game, mostly on Ulton for the early game, just because if he can unlock his mid lane, help out Blue Dream with pushing out his wave and moving out into the sides, that is where I think that they can have a lot of success. Get the Graves to push off, and then send Galio to either dive under the turret, go for something, look for a play.
And they could have some pretty nasty dive. I mean, Galio alone is a great enabler with the Hero's Entrance, but you have some great follow-up by having that Graves, which brings that front-loaded damage and the line collateral damage, and the protection of Soraka on top of that. If you want to make plays down bot lane to try and set up those dives, the potential is there, but you have to keep a close eye on that Tahm Kench and the crowd control that can be returned from Supernova's bot lane.
Good luck playing versus Tahm Kench, man. If you're ever in Vision, you just silence him immediately, because we're finally in the game. No, it's
Victory!
not real. It's not real, man. It's not real, man. This is not real. It's my first time back in like months, and as soon as I'm like, okay, this is the perfect time as a color caster, I'm gonna let Destrux handle the intro. Get ready to start at the game. Boom, pause.
I was supposed to get my water ready. Hold up. Now I got my water. Now we're good.
There we go. Perfect.
Dimitri, why do you got to hit us with the curse? To start us off, first time back in so long, you've been in Wild Rift, we're clapping it out there. You come here and you just shut down the stream, Dimitri. What's good? What gives, man?
Rebel Fox did hit my PayPal right before the stream started. He's like, look, ruin it for my mans. Turn off the stream. Make sure that Destrux, he just gets every single pause. He gets really slow games with like 1 to 2 kills. Game ends. No pop-off, super pop-offs. Just make it miserable. And here we go. I'm starting it off already. I've got the pause down.
I'll accept it, Dimitri. I'll accept it. On one condition.
Okay.
We changed Rebel Fox name. Rebellious Kitsune. That's what I want to hear from now on. I'll accept being trolled on the cast, but he needs to be called that, Dimitri.
I'm down with that. I like that idea. I'll take it. Okay. Good trade. Good trade.
Game number 1, University of Toronto Esports versus Supernova, and already a 5-stat coming out of Toronto, but there's a war there, so no shenanigans going to happen a little bit too early, thanks to Pseudo spotting that out. Going for the cheesy plays. I always enjoy the attempts at them, at least.
No, I mean, you need it, right? Like, when you're looking at this matchup, obviously getting to start off on a really good foot is going to be appreciated, but fighting for bot priority from the bush is always going to be important, so not really much doing there. talking and kind of coming back to the Tom Kench point that we had before the start of the game, Tom Kench is really, really dangerous when he's in Fog of War and he has vision of you, because as soon as that happens, his primary engage with the Abyssal Dive is actually super, super potent. But as soon as you have vision, you know exactly where he's probably going to go, and Soraka Silence can stop that if she's ever in range. So really fun to watch between these two. I'm looking forward to how Pseudo plays this, especially with Hail of Blades Tom Kench.
Yeah, one of the members I have to point out a little bit is over with Baco. I had seen one of the interviews where he was talking about some of the support staff on Supernova, and how they actually like take a lot of time to try and de-stress, try and get these players like to do breathing exercises and stuff, and not be tilted. You know, have a realm where they can find the development that they really need to try and get to towards the next stage of their career.
Not only that, hold up, Blue?
Ooh, Blue forced to flash away. Seeing what the Kench can do, but Psycho, wide open, takes a couple of shots. All sub 200, but Summoner Spell's already being burnt. They heal, flash, and exhaust on the side of Toronto.
A ton of Summoner Spells. A pretty big trade in my mind for Supernova here, getting both Summoners out. But the fact that they couldn't find the kill and they're not able to kind of press this lead, we'll have to see. Soraka will just heal this up. As we already see, she's using the Starfall. She's going to be pretty healthy throughout this. So, you're talking about not wanting to be stressed from the side of Supernova for their players. They're like, okay, we just took this awesome trade. I'm not stressing it if I'm the AD carry, and especially if I'm Blue.
Ooh, Abyssal Voyage, no flash available, stunned up, locked down, but Psycho does not finish the job. Wait, oh, he BMs it!
Oh!
First blood. Unfortunately, DC's in the process. He still gets the first blood, so
yeah.
Not going to miss out on that one. Falls in the process. Sadly, we got another pause, Dimitri. Why'd you press the button?
Rebellious Kitsune DM'd me and said wasn't a big fan of the name change. Is not in his plans for the night, but I think that may have been an issue of the pause. I don't know if it was BM, because it looked like he kind of like walked into the bush and he's like, now I'm gonna auto. So maybe Psycho's just like trying to actually come back out of the lobby and be like, I need a name change. One of us needs to name change between the two ADCs. Like, we're not doing this. There's only one Psycho. This is Highlander now.
I don't know. This could completely switch up, and instead they could embrace more Psychos. You know, we could have Psychopath instead of Pseudo over in the bottom lane. You got any more that you can really add on to this? We are getting an update, though, that was a game crash that came out of Psycho, so he is rebooting. We will get back into game pretty soon.
Okay, so look, we're probably going to have a lot of pauses, so everybody at home, let's have a little bit of a game here. I'm trying to think of like a special game that we can kind of incorporate here. How many pause champs can we get through the night? We've had 2. This will be our second one. I don't know if we actually have the Twitch emote of pause champ enabled on the chat, but if you do, if you have BTTV, we need more pause champs, and we're gonna keep track of them throughout the night.
Okay, you heard that. Hyper, right? Yeah, right. Hyper, you do the Twitch chat stuff, right? No, Hyper, no, don't put us back in.
We need the pause champs.
Okay, never mind. We're back into the game. Actually, Psycho gonna get away from this one. Abyssal Voice tap on the back, just barely gets him. But look at the top side where we're waiting for this. The Nidalee Renekton duo. The autos come in, gets him a little bit low, but there is a minion to block the spear. Now Ultin showing up, trying to return the favor, but Fire Theft flashes forward and calls him down. Now Baco and Fire Theft on the hunt for Ultin, but Baco too low here, gets punished. Ultin will return the kill, but it's still a double going over to Fire Theft in the top lane.
That's exactly what we wanted to see, man. Like, playing jungle top 2v2s in the lane. They didn't force out Jace's flash, which obviously I don't think Jace necessarily thought he was going to die to that combo. Fire Theft able to just barely slip it out with both the summoner spells out there. So will TP back into this lane. He's kind of staying for a long. Ariandel?
Oh,
he
dead. Goes down underneath the tower, just straight up dives him, doesn't need anyone to set up that kill, sets it up himself, makes it look easy over in the mid lane for Toronto Esports. But look what's going on here. We got a pincer going on in the mid lane.
Oh
knocked
my!
Out by the Abyssal Voyage, beautifully timed, but there is the taunt. Def Ref still gets underneath the tower and will be okay.
Okay, Pseudo, again, with these Abyssal Dives, is looking kind of clean with it. I mean, he's now landed a ton of them, gotten his bot lane a kill in the process, almost got a kill in mid lane as well. Super impressive stuff, and just across the game, Desrux, it's Armageddon. Every lane is fighting, we are sending junglers in every single lane. This is awesome.
We got a bloodbath. Hey, you need one, especially for Supernova, playing into this early game composition that is much more focused for the top side. Lots of damage on the side of Toronto to be returned. So Supernova, they want to utilize this as best as they can for this early game. Get this early game going. I mean, they got the champions for it.
Perfect, exactly. And one thing that is kind of just a result of what's happened, I'll hold that as Ariandel.
We can't stop fighting.
Nope.
Ariandel caught out in the mid lane, gets underneath his tower. Baco trying to provide some backup towards this mid lane. Zoltan and Defref just clear the wave, shove it in. Ariandel underneath his tower. Baco, no priority, no backup, needs to just walk away and concede that prio.
And so right now for Supernova, because of what's happened topside, they're not actually able to do anything in this Jace matchup. The matchup is kind of doomed, even though he has Flash. This is a huge wave that Fire Theft has just now crashed under his turret, and he has so much kill pressure. You see right here, Slice and Dice?
Oh!
What?
Oh! Fire Theft! Why do you gotta do him like that? Notice me, Senpai, getting destroyed by Fire Theft, being destroyed by the Gator up there, and I mean, come on, Dimitri. You know a lot about Florida. You know a lot about Gators. Break me down what's going on in that top side.
It's kind of a Florida gap, no? You know? Fire Theft. We were talking about the histories of the players here. Nathan, this guy coming over from ASU, he was on Supernova Dark Matter just a few years ago. And so being able to come up into the main roster as well, kind of as a return home feature, is just awesome. And this is a great game to show that off as we get the player gold here. He has the most in the game. He's 3-0 in his lane. And he has a pickaxe, so I wonder if he's going for Hullbreaker or if he's going to go for one of the new Bruiser Mythics here in the Stride Breaker. It'd be pretty awesome. He's going to get the Iron Spike Whip. I'm really sad now. I was really hoping for Hullbreaker just for him to like 1v9 this game.
He still might be able to with how fast he's been able to pick up this
True.
gold lead. That being said, only 1K really separating these teams, but so much of that gold from Supernova is heavily onto Fire Theft. But this, under the tower, Defref constantly trying to bully Arendelle, who's been having quite the miserable time in the bot lane. Now Ulton setting up a gank onto Psycho and Pseudo.
Ooh.
Getting the exhaust onto Psycho, tries to sidestep, but gets caught out by the Zap. Pseudo now body blocking. Ulton cannot get the autos in. Sicko going half health, but here's a gank into the mid lane. Taunted is Arendelle. Notice me, Senpai, just waiting to tee up and whack him right to the ground. The kill picked up there as Toronto starts to find their own momentum.
They're pushing in on mid. They're putting a lot of pressure on bot side. I'm kind of trying to wonder why they're trying to get this wave under the turret so bad, if not only just to get this kill onto Psycho, but maybe help their team with a reset here. It feels like Ulton is wasting a lot of time, and Baco's kind of handshaking it, saying, like, I'm going to be more than willing to kind of sit here for the trade. There's no dragon available as Supernova have already taken it. And I think right now, here's another pause champ. Thank you to production for getting that on the screen. We've got some pause champs number 3, so make sure we're keeping track at home. This is, I mean, top side of the map is completely doomed for your University of Toronto, but you look across the map, mid lane is winning, their bot lane is doing really well for themselves. This could be a pretty dicey game for Supernova.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one to handle because Psycho Mode is on that Jinx, and we know what happens when a Jinx get going. We know what happens when she's able to get excited. It is hard to be able to stop her once she gets that first kill, and the rockets, the ramp up of the machine gun,
Yeah.
Supernova, they don't want that Jinx to come online.
It'd be pretty dangerous. So I guess, you know, we not only have the pause champ, we can kind of catch up because there's just been play after play after play. I want to focus on mid lane for the time being, just because now we've touched on every single lane except these two. The fact that Defref is, I don't want to say like dominating this lane. I think Ariandel is actually taking a lot of unnecessary trades against the Galio. We see him constantly using the Abscond Abduct to get into his face, try to take the trades. And then there's just a jungler there. So I don't know if there's just a miscommunication as to, hey, where's my jungle? Hey, where's enemy jungle at this point? Like, Ulton comes mid, oh man, I'm dead. And then it allows for Galio to keep pushing these waves. It's giving University of Toronto a lot of priority from the mid lane. It just opens up the Galio to go wherever he wants.
And that's the thing. Once the Galio is able to open up, think about all that pressure Supernova have been applying towards the top side with Fire Theft and Baco. Galio is one of the perfect answers to deal with a lot of these tower dives that are being thrown over towards that top side. So Def Ref can get freed up. That can alleviate so much pressure for Toronto.
And they're doing a fantastic job at that. I think Supernova need to somehow transfer Fire Theft's lead. I think the next big play for them is to go in for this Rift Herald because they've spent so much time. Obviously, Fire Theft is generating his own leads from this point, but Psycho and Pseudo, as soon as Pseudo hits 6, this should just be a pretty free lane for them. They can always sit under turret. They have a lot of potential ways to stop a dive or at least survive for a really long time. Get the Rift Herald, break open a potential turret on the map, go from there.
Now Alton stalking down towards this bot lane. There's that silence you were talking about in the champ select, all stopping the Void from coming off. Tongue in the back for blue. It's Alton now hops. Oh! My goodness, that was nasty, Hulk.
That was like half blind. They barely had vision of Psycho leaving leaving Fog of War, so damn, that was good, UFT. That's all I could say.
Damn good coming out of Alton. Especially for how much time he invested down there. It's very, very satisfying to finally get that payoff.
Exactly, and now they obviously are getting plates in the bot side for their Jinx. 3 plates for this Jinx. So a ton of gold being invested into their AD carry, which is always what you want to see. You obviously have this Soraka, which is going to be pivotal. Not only kind of just talking about the bot lane matchup, but you look across, have to hold that Def Ref.
The knock-up onto Def Ref is going to burn his flash. Ignite going to be used out of Pseudo. Will be kicked out of the lane. Has Hero's entrance available, so he can rejoin these fights pretty quickly.
Yep, he should be able to recall, and if they want to do anything on the top side, is potential to stop the dive. But Pseudo's here, Baco is as well, and they're just allowing Fire Theft to freely get all these waves. It's going to be Renekton versus Jinx this game, and Jinx, she has a Galio, she has a Soraka. It's going to be a tough game, I think, for Supernova to come and claw back into. We'll have to see how the team fights go, as so far, they're just completely playing split map.
Now with that Rift Herald picked up, I want to ask you, Dimitri, where do you see this being placed down on? There's not too much left over on this top side, but we still got 4 minutes until plates drop, so definitely wouldn't be a bad idea to free up Fire Theft and send him to the bot lane. Do you think that's going to be the play for Supernova?
It seems like it, right? Like, Baco's already pathing towards this top side. He wants to try and find either force the flash out of the Jace, but the turret's almost dead, so free up this turret, take some of their jungle, and I kind of want to see this mid. I think, obviously, mid being the most important turret geographically in the game is going to play a large factor in that, but also kind of helps out Ariandel with ending the laning phase. I no longer want to play this against the Galio. I want to go and, like, fist fight either the Jace, who is behind, so it'll kind of offset the disadvantage he finds himself in, or even go for something against his bot lane.
Now Fire Theft, look at the damage he puts onto Notice Me Senpai. Getting kind of tired of it is Notice Me Senpai, who returns the favor, but still the bottom lane, Alton stalks. He waits patiently. Hunter in the bushes, the camouflage, able to be seen.
I'm surprised.
The snare. Oh, Zap onto the back, Psycho.
Champ?
But here comes the knock. No, the silence once again from Blue. Ultimate comes out, Psycho trying to survive. Ultimate return from Alton, but misses as the flash out of Psycho keeps him alive. Now Baco, focusing over on this top side, realizes that there's no one to interfere with this dive. Makes it look easy, and down will go Notice Me Senpai.
There we go. Don't even need to use the Rift Herald at this point. They just keep doing it, man. They keep putting the silence down on the Toad.
You can't play. Can't use his kit, can't play his champion. He is declined, he is denied, and Alton's still down there stalking.
Oh my god, leave him alone. Pseudo, he's chomping him up. Alton, are you gonna die here? Look at the shield.
Psycho. Oh, there's 3 members looking after him. Psycho, will he live? Hero's entrance comes in. Alton guns him down. 4 members strong will be Toronto as they try and claim the jungle. Flashing away is Blue. Arundel falls. Baco is here, but there's not much Baco can really do in the face of 3 members of Toronto, but will still take down Alton. It will cost him his life, and a double kill going over to Def Ref as Toronto push Supernova back.
And look at how much this fight is colored by not only Alton's lead, but also just the support matchup. Def Ref as well, both Silas and them using the hero's entrance to enter, but Arundel is way too late on this, and Psycho just gets immediately taken down. Graves running into the back line. They don't need a jungler to do this dragon. They're going to set themselves up with an Ocean Drake as the response as well. So everything coming up, U of T right there. And despite the top matchup, Fire Theft has not really had time or influence in this game on other roles. So continuing, again, Fire Theft has a huge lead for themselves, but unless they can kind of mitigate that and actualize it into a real lead for his team, all you say is, Notice Me Senpai is, I played weak side Jason 1.
Oh, you gotta appreciate it, though. You gotta appreciate it. With all the pressure that's been put onto Notice Me Senpai, you know, just to survive that lane is quite the feat to be had. Shelly gets placed into the bottom lane. This is gonna funnel a lot of gold onto Psycho. First brick already went down earlier in the top side, and that was picked up by Fire Theft on that top side, so Psycho won't be able to cash in on that, but it's still time where plates are up, and now here comes the knock-up. Blue falls before he could do much. Now Psycho mode really gunning away onto Pseudo. He's underneath the tower. The tower will not fall in time. Since attention is onto Psycho.
What?
The collateral damage so big is ulted as he takes down the bot lane of Supernova.
I wanted to talk about how Tom Kench, we can see it in a different kind of state when you are, again, in Fog of War. The Abyssal Dive is huge as an engage tool going onto blue. It's not getting canceled by the silence, but they had full vision of that. They baited them in. They didn't even get the turret Deseruk. So 14 minutes in, finally the turret falls. Jinx already has a finished Gale Force. Psycho sitting with 20 stacks on Cole. He thought this was going to be a farm lane. He didn't realize this was going to be a me fight comp. And now they're just fighting constantly, getting a lot of gold again for the main carry of this composition.
Right, Arundel towards the top side, where Notice Me Senpai has been suffering. He will be able to farm. He will not have as much pressure as he's had over in that mid lane going into the Galio matchup. With Fire Theft being rotated out from the top side towards the bot side, we're now starting to see some of those rotations that Supernova are going to need to find some adaptation to start getting that lead that Fire Theft had, applying it to other places in this game. We do have Rift Herald spawning quite soon. 2 minutes, 30 seconds before we get another Drake.
Okay, and hopefully that means we won't see another fight, but knowing these two teams, and especially with how it's gone, that's going to be straight up a lie. Renekton getting another turret for themselves should be nice, but again, we're concentrating a lot of gold onto Fire Theft. Now has a 2-level lead, almost 40 CS over his lane counterpart, and is going to be very close to finishing 2 items pretty soon. So watch for how he plays it. I think he has a ton of responsibility this game because of what's happened on the map. And you look across, it's a pretty scary kind of reference. I know we talked about it earlier, but again, you're playing a melee champion into Graves with the smokescreen, Galio as well as Soraka, who still has Wish available at the end of the day. There's a lot to get through, and still no healing, like Grievous wounds. So very tough to deal with.
Yeah, that is a curious thing to not have that heal cut yet on the side of Supernova. Teamfight stage will be coming up soon. It'll be a big objective to take down this Jinx. Trying to focus onto Psycho mode. Pseudo does not get the tongue. Instead, it's met with quite a few rockets onto his backside.
Okay, we're starting up the Rift Herald here. Fire Theft still does not have flash, so important to watch as Arundel is on the flank. Could steal an ultimate here, but Supernova are feeling pressure to do something.
You see that right there. The spear goes out. Alton gets healed up immediately. Now Abyssal coming in from Pseudo, trying to get on to Notice Me Senpai. Hero's entrance finds the knockup. It's only going to be on the Fire Theft. As Def Ref goes deep. He's only going to be able to taunt one. It's going to be the Tom Kench. Fire Theft goes deep and gets the Q to heal up, but it's not going to be enough damage because look at the healing coming in from blue. That is why you need that heal cut. Supernova can't finish off University of Toronto.
Oh my god, Psycho started that fight on Aphelios with a ton of Crescendum Chakrams, but was not able to turn that into relevant damage. They stood at range, kept the Aphelios away from the fight. And after that, after almost a ton of Summoner spells are gone, no one dies, the Rift Herald goes over to U of T, and we kind of just go back to... They just like took sparring blows at each other. We're like, okay, never mind. Going back to farming. I don't want to fight anymore. We're gonna wait for the dragon. 20 seconds up on that. Supernova have first say on the objective as they are the first ones to recall here. They have a ton of pressure on this bot side, but missing out on ultimates I think is really key. And this could be a window for Supernova if they want to punish. There is still flash on Jinx, so watch for that. But maybe they find a pick onto someone like Notice V Senpai or Def Ref.
Ooh, Bako's hurt. Bako will be able to hop over the wall. Not in too much danger, but Shelly is on the map. Mid lane, play being made. Notice Me Senpai trying to get away from Fire Theft as the tower does go down into the mid lane. This is going to open up a lot more vision for the University of Toronto Esports to get that deep vision into Supernova, to set up much more safer plays for these neutral objectives like they're doing right now that they've just been collecting ever since this mid game started.
And now with this second Drake, it sets them on their way potentially for 10 minutes from now, having a pretty dangerous set of goals, right? Like, in 10 minutes, if they get the next Drake, Supernova are in a really tricky situation. They've already lost some of their turrets. They haven't really been able to make too many proactive plays. And considering that this top turret went down relatively early, they got the bot tier 2. You would think that this this mid tower here standing is super dangerous. You have a ton of dive tools that you can use, but the fact that they've kind of lost control of the map, lost control of the river, and proactivity going into the ramp, it's difficult for them to go for a dive. So Ariandel kind of in very, very rough territory back there. If he ever gets kind of collapsed on, could be another death added there.
The silver lining we do have is... Okay,
right, Alton, let's do
this
it.
XK, Alton, let's go. All right, the zap's going to land, but Alton doesn't follow. I like the gusto, though. You got to love a play like that.
I wanted to see it, and Desrex, I don't know how much experience you have with this. This is one of my least favorite Graves build, not because I think it's bad, but because I just really hate playing against Graves with this stuff. Like with the Gore Drinker coming in with the Black Cleaver third, it's just so hard to kill him. He comes in, he heals. It's so difficult, man.
Ooh, nice play coming out of Supernova as they get the inside track. Now they're going to go after Def Ref. Here comes the Voyage, gets the knock up onto Def Ref, but Def Ref still quite a tanky boy as he has gone for that Proto Belt. They're going to chip him away very slowly but surely. One more hit out of Arundel. Not finished the job just yet, but there it is. Going golden, goes off. Shutdown going in for Arundel.
Okay, but this is a huge swing. Yes, Jace got a turret in the top lane, so there's some gold there. But they just transfer that into a kill and 2 turrets. So, or a turret potentially in the bot side. So, really good stuff here for Supernova. I like this. I think maybe U of T not necessarily tracking where they were potentially be standing, and specifically I think Jinx gave up a lot of realty in the mid lane, going into the blue side of her jungle, recognizing I can't really stay under this turret. They're going to dive me. They saw Renekton on the flank. So because of that, Supernova, really good punish, still trying to keep themselves in the game. We'll have to see, because again, we're talking about kind of like the difference in the AD carries right now. Psycho has gotten a lot of solo experience and has definitely caught up here, so going for the Bloodthirster second is going to be important. The only person with heal cut is Fire Theft, and his ability to apply the Grievous Wounds is not super effective.
Yeah, it really depends on his positioning. Like, if you can get into the middle of the team when they're clumped up and press that Q, it's a nice application, but that is like the best case scenario you can really get. Can't really expect Toronto to stay into that position, as Toronto now spreading away from their jungle as they push their vision forward into this Baron area. They've got some pretty decent sources of damage when we're talking Jace, Graves, and Jinx if they want to start up a Baron. But now what they're looking to start up is Arundel. Arundel looking to dodge away, will still away the Soraka ultimate, so now has the Wish. Good source of healing if it's needed in a pinch. That's the power of Toronto. They're able to grab authority towards this Baron pit without much issue, but this is the smarts of Supernova as they put their attention into the mid lane, forcing out the hero's entrance.
Look at that, and they got a lot of turret damage here if Psycho had said, hey, maybe I don't go super aggressive. They could have finished this turret. Supernova recognizing, hey, UFT just try to overload onto our mid laner. Let's just play the map, taking more and more structures away. That's standing gold being rewarded over to Supernova. And it does give them a little bit of better time accessing the Dragon Pit, which is spawning in a minute. And all I can imagine during this next fight is Arendelle will have Wish, which I know we were kind of joking as to what Sylas ultimates he could take potentially, but this is a huge game changer.
My goodness. That one spear on the poor Psycho. And now on to Ultin. Baco waiting in the wings, finally gets caught out though at a time where the dragon is spawning soon. Now Psycho returns the favor onto Def Ref. Blue gets hit as Fire Theft goes deep, but the Blast Plant to separate this fight. Now notice me, Senpai. The tower goes down. Arendelle clapped by a zap as he tries to walk away, but Ultin and the rest of the crew waiting to meet him. The battle lines are drawn. A tough little skirmish right here. Still looking for more. It's going to be Supernova, but Arendelle gets punished. Pseudo goes after him to try and get the Devour, but he's getting Psycho over the wall, looking to get the pop shots. Notice me, Senpai will not find the Shock Blast, but Fire Theft with the Dominus is going to jump in, is going to use that Gore Trigger, is going to use the Qs to try and get the heals, to stay alive, to sustain for his team. Psycho with the Fire Theft is still alive and still bringing the pain, baby. A double kill takes down Ultin, and notice me, Senpai has been noticed, but he's been noticed by the Gator, waiting to call the Meek, running as fast as he can with that ultimate, popping for a little bit of movement speed, but there he is, and there he is knocked away. Notice me, Senpai is looking to turn this around. Does he notice the teleport of Arendelle? Def Ref joins in, a little chip of damage coming out of Arendelle, but Fire Theft, he put on the big boy pants Hulk, and he showed up in that team fight.
That was a massive change. Def Ref just walked into 5 members. He's going to go down. And the thing that we're noticing here for UFT is they don't have a lot of proactive crowd control. A lot of it is, hey, play at range. If we can try to stall out these team fights, the longer that they go, the better our Soraka and our Jinx are going to look. But without anybody who's going to frontline, especially Def Ref being the only one that can really try to do that, super dangerous for them to try. And Psycho mode. Uh-oh.
That damage comes in so fast, taking down Psycho mode. Ultin comes in to try and help out with the situation, but Baco going golden. That's all that's needed to make this a double for Arendelle. With 3 fallen on the side of Toronto, Supernova set their sights on Baron.
Yeah, they weren't able to kind of turn that lead that we had seen them have in the early game into something tangible. So now UFT, without a strong Jace to play on the side, and really Def Ref, his only influence in a lot of these fights was just killing Arendelle in the lane. We're not seeing all too much. Ultin, obviously, Ultin alongside Sicko Mode are trying their hardest to carry this one out, but without a reliable front line, without anything. Ultin, he's gonna try and solo this!
Oh, tries to
he
actually grabs it. He got the dragon. I can respect that though. He's giving up his life for it, but he's trying to set up some form of win condition for Toronto while this is falling apart. Not getting that dragon would have been so much more disastrous.
Yeah, he got something for it, right? Like, they got Baron. It is the ultimate, like, consolation prize. Like, okay, we gave up Baron, but we have Soul Point. And that might be the only saving grace here for UFT as they're getting ready to kind of stall out for the next 2.5 minutes while this Baron buff ticks down. You've also obviously waiting for that Soul Point. If they can grab the Dragon Soul, maybe UFT have a way back into this game, but with how long some of these lanes have been, if they can hold off in their base, UFT have the chance of winning this, but Supernova so far ahead.
Here comes the Goon Squad.
What?
Wow.
Hello?
Wow, that was quick. That was really quick. Baco and Arendelle bring damage. That's all you can really say for that one. Ultin over the wall goes after Psycho, puts out the collateral damage, but gets punished right back. Blue so low, you want one more auto on the Soraka to stop the healing over the wall. Comes Psycho mode onto Fire Theft, but the Gator does not care. Baco chases into the base. Everything is forfeit for Toronto. This entire map belongs to Supernova.
And now they're just trying to play any kind of defense across the map, especially with Defref not alive. Makes it so difficult for them. 1 tower, 2 towers, 3 now going down in favor of Supernova as they put the finishing touches on this game. They don't even have Baron Wave in the base right now. They're just hitting the inhibitor free of charge. U of T look a little scattered. Can they make the defense?
Oh, this is going to be a tough one. You would need a hell of a fight, a hell of a wombo combo. And even then, now the situation is going to be double super creeps coming into your base. Baroned up, you have the hero's entrance on Arundel, so this is tough to engage on. Really, you don't have much left for Toronto. You're just hoping for the biggest slip-up out of Supernova.
So they do have waves here if they want to continue crushing. I imagine they have a lot of gold in their back pockets, but they want to end this game now.
Looking for the ending, going in as Fire Theft gets teed away by Notice Me Senpai. First Nexus tower falls. Arundel still holding on to the hero's entrance. Defref goes up, tries to clear out some of the waves, but it's still baroned up. It's still super creep waves. Psycho barely able to sidestep that shock blast as he stays healthy, he stays well. A recall coming in from Defref. That is not Defref, excuse me, Arundel, who does have his teleport available, so gets right back with no problem after another purchase. And now this is the end, looking to come in. Fire Theft dives deep and takes down Notice Me Senpai. Arundel on the other side, going after the Galio as Fire Theft. Will he be able to scatter the weak? Call the meek, never mind. Here comes the hero's entrance. The Navalcup is going to be found. The Nexus Tower is still standing. The health bar is starting to get low on the side of Supernova. And now it's looking like retreat. Psycho on the run. Pseudo trying to block the shotgun, but you can't block the rockets of Psycho mode. As Supernova, they bite off more than they can chew. They lose 3, but the base is in shambles for Toronto.
I will take that if I'm Supernova, even if it is super clean on the exit there, getting a little hyphy with the end of the game. Supernova, they take all of the standing turrets, and it is just a lone, empty Nexus available for UFT. Playing under their turrets, taking a lot of damage. It does obviously allow for Psycho mode to have resets with the Jinx, but from here on out, Supernova, they'll now be able to turn all of that gold they just collected in the last 5 minutes into items and turn that into objective leads, as Dragon's going to be spawning in a minute, taking away, kind of delaying another 5 minutes for UFT for that Dragon win condition. But I don't think they're going to get there, Destructs. I think this game's going to be long over before we see a Dragon Soul.
Oh, this is tough. As the Dragon does spawn, like, what do? Double supers in every single lane, and even with that, you have to be worried about the back door, right? Fire Theft has his teleport available. If you leave your base unattended, he will go there.
Oh, look at it. Look at them. Pseudo, and Bako are just sitting outside the base. They're putting wards in. You know what's funny? You don't even actually need the wards. You see that they've put down a ton of the control wards, but this is a Hextech map. There are just gates that will go into your base at any moment.
You got all sorts of ways to take your you got your pick of the litter and methods of transportation to arrive at Toronto. Now the rest of Supernova, they're just grabbing the Drake. It's going to be an easy one to get. Still quite a lot of cash in to come in from Toronto. I'm curious to see what will be purchased in these last couple of moments, and if they can find anything that could potentially give them an upper edge. You're still waiting for that 5th item to be completed on Psycho mode. Morel and Nomicon will be finished on Defref.
So this is really interesting in my mind here, because now, I mean, we're talking about them finishing the game. We have the inhibitor timers up. They're about a minute and a half. Baron spawning in 30. If they don't actually, like, finish the game out and try to wait till Baron, they'll only have about 20 seconds after Baron to push out a wave. And this is a ton of gold. You're losing about 4,000 gold for every single one of these minion waves after about 5 minutes. So you see the gold has shrank significantly so. It was almost 10,000. It's under 6 at this point. So you're giving a lot of gold over to a team that does need items, that is waiting to kind of scale up and pick up more available stuff to them. They know that this Baron is unavailable to them, but they're not pushing their lead for Supernova. These inhibitors will respawn. They'll lose out on all of those super minions. And it'll take one really good team fight from Supernova, but I think U of T are getting a little bit of a second wind here. I don't think they can still win this game, but it is definitely going to make it a lot harder in my mind for Supernova if they want to try and clean this out or close this out cleanly.
As you see on your map, 20 seconds left on that bottom inhibitor. Toronto just waiting for this pressure to be alleviated by those inhibitors coming back up, but Supernova have just arrived. They're in your base. They have Baron buff. See if University of Toronto can find the right pieces to get an engage going on their foot.
Okay, inhibitors have just now started to respawn. The first one is down bot side. Here comes the fight.
Ooh, Defref going after Psycho. Can't get onto him, so Baco jumps onto Defref. Inhibitor still up as Fire Theft gets exhausted. Fire Theft taking out Defref. There's the healing coming in. Fire Theft will not go down. Same can't be said for Arendelle.
Okay, but Jinx
finally falls. The Jinx is online. Psycho Mode is tearing them apart. A triple kill for Psycho Mode. An ace for Toronto as they will survive!
I called it, man! Like, we were just talking about this. They didn't force on proper waves. Their wave management for Supernova was not perfect. And so the waves did not all crash at the same time. The inhibitors were able to respawn. And the Baron, just like that, is taken off. The purple cloaks have gone invisible. And now Supernova, another teamfight loss, have given University of Toronto a second wind. They're back in this game, Deserux. Jinx is picking up items. She's getting all of these resets. And it is going to get harder. Old Town finishing potentially the Guardian Angel next. All of these champions are going to be more and more difficult to kill, especially since Soraka is soon going to be level 16 and have the level 3 Wish healing for so much.
And on top of that, Toronto only have one inhibitor down this time. No more double super creeps. You have a long time before Baron's up. This is so much reprieve. This is so much relief for the University of Toronto. It's not over yet, but goodness gracious, Sicko. He's in the right place, right time. He's got the positioning. He's working magic with this Jinx.
I may have jinxed it, right? Like, we may not see a Dragon Soul, but maybe Supernova might get a little antsy here, because obviously losing 2 back-to-back team fights like that right outside the base, it's given me one of those, like, throw vibes. If you've been watching LEC, the Misfits game after 18 minutes coming back from almost 18,000 gold deficit. I don't want to call it, right? Like, this is still Supernova's game to lose, but you look across to them, Psycho is going to be outranged by this Jinx later on, and as Aphelios is trying to hit onto Graves, hit onto Defref, the amount of time that they're building or buying for their AD carry to ramp up in these fights is incredible. And now they're just playing maximum base defense at this point.
You have to take down Psycho Mode if you're Supernova. If he goes down, that is pretty much your everything.
Yep.
University of Toronto can defend him. This could be a comeback victory. Jinx is very capable of snowballing a lot of these team fights from just an inch in your favor to a mile in your favor.
It takes one flash, one Nidalee Sphere to just find the kill onto Sicko Mode. He obviously has his flash and the heal, but if you ever catch them off on like a wrong timer, on a wrong movement, here we go!
A triple taunt, but devoured. Buying time is Pseudo. Pseudo will be that sacrificial lamb, but there is a reset coming in for Psycho Mode. Gets the first one onto the support. Supernova are making sure they're not going to bleed too much in this loss as they go for the re-engage, though. The spear onto the back of Alton, but Alton is doing work. He's got blue to provide the heals. Same is not the fortune for Fire Theft as losing 3 Supernova. What is going on?
Sicko Mode just solo killed him. Baco's going to be picking up this dragon. I wonder if U of T, they're going to go for this, but they still have an open nexus here. There's a wave coming in on bot lane. You see the pings from Supernova. They want to try and sneak this out.
The
Scryer's Bloom, or the Scryer's Orb, we'll see him. Does he try to take the Hextech Gate? They're going to try and finish through mid. 30-second death timers.
Oh, 30-second death timers, but it's still super
Teleport
coming in. Now here comes the
dead.
teleport. Baco's down. Teleport comes through. Arendelle's gonna go after Notice Me Senpai. Hero's entrance comes through. Arendelle, he wants the back door. He's gonna try and dance around.
He's dead.
There is the taunt, and there is the hopes of Supernova taking game number 1 in the drain. Toronto Esports, they fight back tooth and nail. They bring it to Supernova. And in game number 1, they are nothing to scoff at.
They did not care that they were down 10,000 gold. They did not care that there was triple inhibitors at 24 minutes. They held out. Supernova unable to push their lead. and U of T come back in a situation where I think, professionally speaking, there is very few games where all three inhibitors are gone and you still win out in that game. Incredible stuff from them.
Both Nexus towers too. All they
Yep.
lost so much. They had what, a 10k deficit at some point. But hey, Psycho Mode, he had the Jinx. They were able to protect the Jinx, and he was able to pop off.
Psycho Mode obviously getting a ton of resources there, right? We were talked about it. As soon as you give all of those waves, Jinx is more than happy to clear all those. It is just the matter of the fact of how do we enable her? How do we allow for those items to turn into victories in team fights? And it was, again, after the first team fight around their base, when they finished off the Nexus turrets and the rest of Supernova died, it was like, okay, you know, like we're joking on the side of Supernova, okay, whatever. We weren't able to finish. We'll come back in 5 minutes to end the game. And then they lost after the Baron. And then it was looking dicey after that. And once the inhibitors respawned, that's it. You can't really break back into the base unless you have a victorious team fight.
A great performance. Hats off really for Toronto to find a comeback off of what looked grim, to say the least, and to put it lightly at that moment. On that note, we are going to take a moment to throw over a short break. When we return, we'll get into game number 2. You're not going to want to miss it. University of Toronto versus Supernova. Welcome back to the Unified Premier League and our matchup of Toronto University taking on Supernova. And what a way to start it off, Dimitri.
Yeah.
What was seeming like a very Supernova favored matchup quickly got flipped on its head when Toronto fought back from a 10K deficit.
We came into this matchup talking about how aggressive the bot lane for Psycho Mode and for U of T was going to be, playing all these wacky things. Maybe there's a Samira game. We're playing aggressive AD carries. And then we come into the game and we're playing scaling ADs in the bot lane. We've got enchanters alongside it, and a game with triple inhibitors, a Baron taken, open Nexus, and they just come back into the game. U of T, obviously, really great resilience to hold out in that. And Supernova, I think, getting a little complacent with their lead. They obviously had a really good advantage with Fire Theft and what they were able to do up there. I kind of want to see what they can do now coming into Game 2, talking about that adaptation in the series. See what they can do.
So, as we get ready for this draft, I do want to take a moment to forward a little message that I have from a good friend of mine, Sean Atonin.
Okay.
Everyone, we love Sean in Twitch chat, please.
Agreed.
But Regom is the one who's doing the coaching for the UPL currently, because Nelv is all the way in South Korea at this current moment. So, he's the one doing the coaching. He's the one doing the drafting for Supernova. You know, got to give credit where credit is due. Always got to make sure the coaches get their shout out.
Yeah, good for them. And it's all the people behind the scenes, right? Like, we always see the players, and obviously the players should be the forefront of a lot of what we see, but it's the people behind them, the staff. And like you were saying earlier, like, Supernova obviously have a ton of resources and infrastructure that they use to help out their players. They've been a long-standing member of the amateur community and have obviously contributed so much player-wise.
Oh yeah, I mean, from the days we started casting, all Supernova's been around.
Yep.
Good old T Combs never gave up when it came to his squad, and yeah, that's the thing I've always enjoyed about Supernova as a roster. It's always an org that's really working hard to develop the next stage of esports talent. You know, get them towards the next stage of their career. Names like Tactical have come through the ranks of Supernova, so a very established roster, as a very established squad, excuse me, as they work on their next roster for 2022.
I was gonna say, pretty sure I remember there being a young vase collector among their ranks. I'm trying to remember. That's Jenkins, but I'm trying to remember if he was on Supernova at one point or not. Yes, there we go. So it was a vase admirer. See, I remember the names. We had like Pistol for Iconic when he was playing in Jungle. That was always a lot of fun. But they got a
high school yearbook of alumni.
Yeah, actually, we do.
All right, as we head into this draft, finally wrapping down some of the bans, giving it shots here. A lot of solo lane focus coming out of Supernova as to take away the Kale, Kali, the flexibility of that Karma. Zeri, sadly not going to see it. I've been waiting for one of these ADCs to pull it out. And Rise bound away so far. One more ban to come out of Toronto, or first pick goes over to Supernova on the side swap.
Yeah, this just looks like the same. They may have side swapped, like you said, but they just kept the same bans, recognizing that they really want to take away some of the strong champions from the other side. And Jinx makes it through the draft, and so Supernova say we're going to first pick Caitlyn. So U of T, this is kind of a big show for you. You recognize that they're probably going to try and play the Lux with it, so get a really strong pairing for that. Maybe go for an engage. I think Leona is still up there as well. You have stuff like the Braum that can try to block off on double of these enchanters if you want. Looks like they're going to take Jhin, champion that has pretty strong matchups against every single AD and provides a lot of utility as the from the marksman position. So taking a little bit of a different role this time for Psycho Mode, not being the mainstay carry for the team, but again playing for utility, playing to help out his team, especially with an Udyr here.
That's going to be one of the scary things, because we need to see some early game facilitation coming out of Toronto. If you're having the Jhin, you're not going to have that late game contingency that you had with the Jinx in that game number 1. Yeah. So as this draft does shape up, you did mention a moment ago Jhin and Udyr locked in. You mentioned another one a moment ago that we were very likely to see the pairing of Caitlyn and Lux as that gets locked in on the side of Supernova.
So now for Supernova, there's a Jhin. You know that there's another kind of champion in the Udyr here. What is your response? Are we going to take another farming jungler for Baeko? Or are we going to try to cannibalize this and get really, really aggressive for from the jungle position? It looks like Supernova are going to try to at least hover the Galio here. It puts Ariandel in another supportive position. Definitely gives him more agency. we saw on the last game, him on the Silas did not have a lot of room to breathe in the mid lane. And so now with this Galio, should be freed up to do a little bit more, move into side lanes, play that team fighter once we get later into the game.
And it gives you a pretty standard setup for a composition. You do have your frontline defender already set up. A lot of flexibility on the way you want to handle that lane assignment once you do free him up from the mid lane. But it's pretty straightforward, right? Frontline, backline, get the damage in, protect it. You got ways you can go for Supernova if they want to shape this. It's a very flexible first start of the draft.
Yeah. And for U of T now, we're looking at just straight up giving counter pick over to against Fire Theft. Like, we're looking at top side. You know what the mid matchup is, so let's just start banning all those top laners, right? The same ones we saw in the last game. Heal Gwen off the table, take that away from them on the side of Supernova. And I want to see some really big damage carries because you need someone that's going to be able to kind of utilize all of the things you have already drafted. Udyr is really great at disrupting the Caitlyn and Lux. Jhin, like you said, has damage, but will start to lack it as we get later into the game, and does have some pretty nice burst if, you know, we get to that point, if we're seeing like 4 or 5 items on Jhin. But that's a kind of a long shot from here.
You know, one champion that is getting through the draft so far that was banned away in game number 1 has been Hecarim. And we have seen cases where you can pull off this Galio Hecarim nightmare composition where you dive into the back line and it sets up a perfect hero's entrance to go in. So I'm keeping a close eye on that. We are starting to get the jungle bans coming in. J4 is another one that can complement really well with the Galio. One more ban to come out of Supernova.
Okay, are they going to be the ones to take the Gwen pick here? Because it seems like U of T are kind of throwing down the gauntlet saying, go ahead, pick it. Let's see if you can do it. Let's see if we can try to, you know, say like, hey, we're going to take Gwen here. We're going to have a really strong matchup for ourselves. I'm just trying to think of the mid pull now, right? Because you took away the Galio from Defref, and I don't necessarily think this is a Mordekaiser comp. So maybe we get an Akali to try to disrupt the backline and utilize all of the kind of utility you're getting from your first 3. Akali is banned. I'm an idiot. Please don't be Mordekaiser. I don't want to. Nope. I'm QSSing.
It's happening. It's happening. No, it's happening.
I'm sashing.
This is the hover. I want to believe. No, that's. Come on.
Okay. It's the better version of the rat, right? Like we're not getting Teemo,
all right,
we're getting Kennen. And Kennen, surprisingly enough, Kennen got what I consider a pretty nice change on this patch to his W. So the laning phase is going to be really nice. I'm interested to see kind of the results of it as we get into the game. And the Hecarim, you had pointed out, the Nightmare comp, we're just going full fear. Never mind, I'm getting baited by hovers. This is the point where I'm going to shut up, and Destruct, save me. Take me out, boys.
No. We're only whatever gets picked right now. The first hover, we're just automatically going. It's Graves. We're having Graves Xin Zhao. It's gonna be a duo jungle. This is my analysis. This is how we're breaking it down. But
oh man,
the bait and switch again. Yeah. So Xin Zhao getting locked in. You get a pretty strong jungler with that one, and the front line from Supernova I really like right now. So much protection, so much engage. That this can be doubled up with.
Yeah, they're playing with a really nice range advantage, right? Like, you have Lux and Caitlyn who can stay really far back, who can utilize that range you're giving to them, and you have a pretty solid front line here. As U of T, I don't know if they're, like, subscribing to Wolverine's Twitter or, like, LS or whatever, but we're getting a Lowy mid. This Galio matchup is really, really good. And against, once you hit level 6, if Xin Zhao ever tries to gank you, same thing happens there. This is awesome stuff that we're seeing from definitely a lot different than a lot of the other teams in collegiate and amateur.
I'm in shock. Wow. I don't know what to say about this one. This one caught me off guard completely. The Alawi into the mid lane against the Galio. Now, I would like a little bit of a walk through that, Ulk, because this is something that's very uncommon. We don't see a Alawi too often, and if we do, it's usually kind of this bully over towards the top side. Hell, you see her much more often in solo queue than you actually see her in competitive.
I was gonna say maybe Defref is actually just like a top laner in disguise. Like, he's just like wearing like a mask.
Basically,
it's just like covering his face. He's like, I'm actually just a top laner, and he takes off the mask. Boom, I'm a mid laner now. I mean, he's got the Mordekaiser. He's got the Akali in his back pocket. These are champions that cross over into that top lane a ton, but the Alawi matchup is actually really cool. Galio can wave clear against you, but you obviously have the Q that you have. Your 1v1 trades, your 2v2 as Udyr and Alawi is super deadly, especially with the Test of Spirit that you have on her E. As soon as you have that, you do the Harsh Lesson, and it's kind of just done. Like, you do a ton of % health damage against both the Xin Zhao and the Galio. So, really good threat from the mid lane. Obviously, a lot of short range here from UFT, so the Rakan's going to have to put in extra work in this game, because engage for them is going to come down to Notice Me Senpai, and for Blue, can they get into the backline? Can they disrupt them and set up for Ulton and Defref?
It kind of scares me though
A
for
little bit.
University of Toronto, on the fact that they have great like team fight tools and they have great counter engage on top of that, but I don't see too many sources of damage, at least consistent damage, to really back up that if they do go for the 5v5 team fight. A lot of that you have to favor over the way of Supernova, who have a very easy to execute 5v5 on their team fight that they've drafted so far. It just needs a good laning phase to really propel it forward.
Yeah, I would say, like you said, the ease of execution is definitely on Supernovas. I think a few things, kind of coming into this game, like cognitively, how many times in scrims, especially even in solo queue, right, have you played the Galio Alawi matchup? You may have an idea as to how many like how this matchup goes, but I promise you, 9, if not 10 out of the 10 players know how this matchup is supposed to go. Like, they have a theoretical idea. Maybe the top laners have given them like a little bit of like a pep talk like before the game started, but there is no way that they've actually prepped for this. So this should be kind of like a test of, does Supernova understand the win condition of UFT? And for UFT on the opposite side, like, do they know how to team fight with an Alawi? Because it is not the easiest, like you said, and it is definitely something you need to know how to do. Otherwise, it's going to be very awkward.
We've all had it in our solo queue games where the entire team just piles up onto the Alawi, and it's like, oh, she's low health.
Oh no, she pressed R.
She pressed
oh god.
R.
Oh no.
And she's full health, and you're not. Oh no.
Especially with the bruiser changes, right? Like, I mean, this game, I can very easily see Defref, like, second, third item, picking up the Death's Dance and the Mauve Mortius. It is a very deadly combo this game. And while she does get outranged by the backline here, this is going to be like, can Alawi kill the front line fast enough versus these three, and then just leave Psycho and Pseudo standing like, oh no, I guess we're backing out of this fight.
Arndale getting pushed in quite early by Defref. I'd be fearful for when Arndale gets too far out. Ulton taking the Ghost on the Udyr very fast. I wouldn't be too surprised if a Chem Tank followed right after, and just to see how fast he can get into lane, take away some of those escape tools that Arndale does have.
I mean, run step job done, no? That's what actually a lot of these champions do. Like Kennen, Udyr, they got the Peepo run on deck. They've got it macroed, actually. They're ready.
Only Arundel's the one who has the Predator on top of this.
There's more runs done. There's more jobs to be done. Here we
Oh,
go.
and speaking of, here we go. An engage, a gank onto Defref. 3 Talon Strike, find the knockup. Doesn't even need it. First blood goes the way of Arundel.
Okay, Arundel, really good job of holding the wave. I think Defref got a little greedy with that and trying to keep the wave super far pushed up, and so Baeko not trying to play full farm versus a Udyr. I'm very happy about that. I've been seeing a lot of full clear Xin Zhaos. It's made me very sad. It's made a lot of our fellow commentators kind of sad too. And so forcing that out from Defref, getting the TP back in, allows Arundel to walk into River here and contest for this scuttle.
And you see Ulton instantly backing up. Will not have priority. The priority going over to Supernova's bot lane, and they're not going to stop right there. It's not just about stopping his recall. The ADC is the one going into the face of the Udyr. That is a trip as Psycho stops the recall.
And they should know, so they saw Udyr, they should see 24 CS. Okay, so he hasn't had time to take the top scuttle here. So Baeko, if he's if he knows the timer here, he'll just walk straight in that top river and go to take it. Looks like instead he might try to go and clear off his Krugs and says, no. You see all the pings here? Fire Theft, crash your wave. I want prio right now. Ariandel, same thing here. Finish off that wave. Get ready to roam. You already have your boots. Get your Predators ready.
Pushing in that wave will be Arundel. See him just try and get that priority to open up Baeko to be safe. Ulton does show up there. Deadly Flourish just gets a snare, but not much else, as you see Ulton kind of stalking around, but he has been double scuttled. It is going to be too late. I'm pretty sure he's well aware of that at this point, and just trying to really cut his losses, clear out whatever jungle camps he has left.
Yeah, from that point on, the fact that they found him and were able to take control of the jungle, you saw immediately Baco pinged the camps. He said Krugs, Raptors. That is where Udyr is going to be. He's going to be on the top side. Do with that information as you will to my laners. You see Psycho and Pseudo, they are slamming waves repeatedly with this combo. They're making sure that every single wave, they're trading for minions, they're trading for gold. And you see now, Ariandel has a timer to roam. It's time to die bot lane.
Ooh, the Predator has been popped a double snare! That just hurt to feel. Toronto getting destroyed in the bot lane. They made that dive look so easy.
They know Ultan is not there. They know Ariandel has a timer, and they use it perfectly. Doesn't even need the ultimate at this point. Should be able to get out. Even with Ghost, Baco's here.
Ooh. 2v2. Wind becomes lightning, misses.
Oh no!
Arndel uses the blast fight, knocks two of them complete opposite directions. Gentlemen's truce, let's not fight this after all.
Oh no, it's a disaster though. Like Ariandel's like XD in chat or question mark ping. Toronto, they're gonna try and grab this dragon. They recognize that Supernova's bot lane had to take a reset. They know that Baco is not gonna be, or at least close in the area. Ultan, you better smite that. You're going to die to the dragon. There you go. Comes through. Still, it's still really good for Supernova, the fact that they found 3 kills. And specifically, Ariandel kind of having a massive comeback game. We obviously have touched on it a little bit before the game and during, but last game definitely was a little bit tough. And this time around is looking a lot better and with a lot less pressure on his back, knowing that Defref hasn't really been able to impact the laning phase.
Yeah, he's looking good on this Galio. Especially with that last push that we saw. That dive, so beautiful. That light binding from Pseudo. Absolutely nasty. As we kind of take stock at what's going in on the map, I mean, we're only 6 minutes into this. A lead starting up by Supernova. Kind of shades of what we saw in game number 1, just 2K. Nothing too big yet. The concerning point here is that I like a lot of the scaling that goes the way of Supernova. I like their late game stages. I like their chances. I feel like they do get better scale.
We said that last game, and look at what happened.
But there was a jinx last time.
True. There was a hyperscale jinx. Fair. We'll allow it. But it is, they have they just have better range. And they also have, I think, a lot more proactive tools for engagement. Like, Pseudo can very easily at range throw a binding and see what lands. Baco with the crescent sweep as well. It doesn't have can very easily get out of a commitment if it goes dicey. Whereas I think, like we said, Toronto, they're relying on playing in melee range. They need to get into your face. This Alawi does nothing at range. So we still need to see how what kind of comes down in team fights, because we haven't really gone a 5v5. A lot of it has just been that bot dive, and that's really it. So coming, maybe once we see the reset for the Rift Herald here, we already see the bot lane duo for Supernova are moving. Maybe we get something there. Oh!
Oh, Defref, the Alawi, you said they don't know how to play into it. I guess that really answers that. Now, Defref will be caught up. Baco, oh my god.
You see what I mean?
This Alawi. This is scary, Rel. This is scary.
This is what I'm talking about. I played a little bit of Alawi. It's been years since I've played Alawi, to be fair, and it was all top lane. But, again, you don't get a lot of practice versus Alawi, and you saw right there, if he's ever out of position, Defref with the ultimate can kill you, especially with the Test of Spirits. So that is just a really awesome kind of 1v1 that we got to see there, and he almost won the 1v4. He would have gotten 2 kills, he would have died, but that is a huge win at that point. Getting the flash, getting the ultimate as well, buys Toronto space to start up the Rift Herald.
The leap of faith, you got to give it some respect. Whenever you're bunched up together, whenever the Alawi is able to put down those tentacles, that is not the time to take a fight to her. Now Toronto, try and start up this Rift Herald, but getting pincered as Arndel comes in. See if he hops in, still has Predator available. There's the double light binding, so nice as Baco joins the fray.
Wait!
Trying to get the knock-up, trying to finish off the job, but look at Ultan over there. Sicko mode will be able to grab one onto Baco as the ace in the hole goes off. Clearing it up, it's going to be a 1-4-3 exchange. Supernova getting the better of it as they grab Rift Herald.
That's a huge loss, though. Psycho has to blow the oh.
Oh, ooh.
Ooh, that one hurt the soul. That one hurt the soul. That is a massive win. I think Supernova, look at their map now. They've killed 4 members of UFT. They got the Rift Herald as well, which, like, I'm watching Ulton's smite timer that entire time. Maybe I missaw, but it was either off cooldown or just coming off of cooldown. 80 HP on the Rift Herald. Ariandel's able to pick it up. And that is kind of a huge loss. They had first say on the Barret, on the Rift Herald. And Notice Me Senpai, the cannon ult kind of just whiffed. It hit my fridge that was behind me. There was not much anybody getting stunned there.
that light binding just stopped him in his tracks.
There we go. There's the stopwatch for the game as well. Pause champ number 4. There it is. Love it.
How bad does it feel when you press that R button and there's a light binding on top of you, and you're forced to just watch and be like, please, walk into my radius, please. I need to stun someone.
It kind of turns the phrase, right, for Kennen, because Kennen, when he's ultimate, he does like a little scream, like, I'm charging into you, and it makes it very different when he's just sitting there, and he's like, it's kind of like an aggravated little, like, hamster, just like rattling on the bars, like, let me out. I want to be a hamster wants out of the cage, please.
Oh, I'm just reading that stat that I had completely missed earlier. DefRef has 32 ranked games on Alawi, all in season 10. Well,
now I
this is just pure confidence, I guess.
Now I'm checking my Alawi
see.
stats, because there was a time where I played. Now again, I'm a plat player, so plat chat kick W. But I definitely played a little bit of Alawi. I got some. I wonder if I have more games on that champion than he does. Let's see. I'm checking. All right.
See, hit me with it.
Perfect. We're learning that DefRef was also plat in prior seasons, so I'm definitely coping a little bit. 5 games on Alawi season 8 for me, so that's 5 games. Maybe I didn't play a lot of Alawi, actually. I think about it.
5 games not bad.
5 games is not bad. I've got a 6th.
That's enough to go pro.
Yeah, basically. Okay.
Enough to play in the UPL.
I must have played a ton more normal games of Alawi then, because I love that champion. That champion is so much fun. Either way, we have got definitely a weird draft. This is just going to ruin all the stats. That's all I know. This series particularly is going to ruin a lot of stats for these 2 teams.
Yeah, this is a wild one to talk about, at least in the draft aspect, with the way they've decided to hit the field. The focus is more towards Toronto than anything else. They're the ones who pretty much given the middle finger to the meta. So we're going to play what is the most comfortable and that we think can just stomp this out in a game 2.
Okay, so we're back. Rebellious Kitsune said no more stop watching for this game, hopefully anyway. We'll see how much of an effect he has in this game. Is kind of sending DefRef into the side lane versus Gnar. This is a pretty favorable matchup still for Alawi. Obviously, in ranged form, Fire Theft is going to have a little bit more say in how the wave goes. But you see here, like, DefRef just needs to stay in Fog of War, and the Gnar is like, do I really want to step up? Do I want to have my soul taken and then immediately die to a minion wave? Not really. Udir's here to cover as well.
Ooh, nice sidestep coming out of Fire Theft. Gonna bounce off the head of Ulton. Oh, Ulton's angry about that one.
Rakan?
He took that personal. He's going straight for the tower. Dive the bear slap underneath
What
the
is
tower.
happening?
There's the ultimate. It's popped, but it's not really finding anything here. DefRef gonna heal up a little bit off of the clone, but that was a very scuffed dive coming out of Toronto in the bot lane.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw me a ping on that one. I'm just gonna say, that one. They went for it. That is the moment in comms for a team where they're like, guys, can we go for this? Rakan's like, I'm looking for it. Ulton's like, I'm looking for it. As the mid laner, DefRef's like, I have no minions. I don't know if we could do this, guys. And so now they've just kind of played split map where they put the bot lane up there. Psycho's just going to get soloed by the mid laner, and Caitlyn's just going to take a turret.
Can I just get a replay of that? That
seems a little mean.
That was... He just walked up.
Yeah.
Just walked up.
Yep.
Wrong neighborhood, drops him.
Yep. That is just marksman lifetime. It doesn't matter. There's a joke that I have where if there's like a 0-3 Akali, that only means that she has a 98% to kill me solo instead of 99 as an 80 carry. It doesn't matter how fed you are. Most mid laners, most solo laners will just kill you without much thought. So, happens. Psycho's also a little bit behind the curve, right? Like 30 CS. Psycho just got a ton of gold from that turret and obviously catching all of that wave in the top lane, so there is a lot of resources. 2 levels up, Everfrosted, Predator, not much to say after that.
Supernova sitting pretty. A lot of kills going on to Arendelle and Psycho. 4-1-2 for Arendelle, 4-0-2. Out for Psycho, who now has his Gale Force done, has finished off his Last Whisper. Looks for another completion. It's pretty much prime positioning for Supernova. They're not at their hot points yet for this marksman, but the gold lead that they're holding, 6k strong, they don't really need to be, because they could just do stuff like this to poor Psycho mode.
So you said you wanted a replay. There you go.
Hey, we got it!
It wasn't geographically in the same area, but it was basically the same kill.
Oh, disrespectful. Pseudo throws out a light binding, and a wind becomes lightning to pop them as well.
Yeah, and now I like what they're doing here. They're obviously taking advantage of, you know, what is kind of like the stereotypical, like, Caitlyn trope, which is, I'm here to kill turrets, and that's about it. We're 13 minutes in Deserux, and there's almost, like, all 15 plates gone. Galio's going to take a few in bot lane. There's only 2 from what I can recall. There we go, there's 2 plates left. There's 1 plate in mid lane, so unless U of T, they should be able to defend this turret at least. Oh, no, not again.
Setting up a dive onto Psycho, but caught out Baco. Now here comes the hero's entrance, looking to protect him. He tries to stand behind his jungler. Flashes away. Notice me, Senpai gets slammed. Now Pseudo throwing out the final spark. There's a flash taunt from Arendelle. Psycho, you're not allowed to play this game. 5th death so far. Blue flashes. Barely gets away from the light binding, but this is abuse. This is just mean, Hulk.
And this time around, it's another 10,000 gold lead manufactured in a little bit of a faster timeline here. 14 minutes, 14 plates taken. Finally, the turret goes down right outside of that time range, and Supernova are just completely tearing open the map. Every single lane is losing, specifically the bot lane really getting punished here. 2 solo deaths for Psycho versus Arendelle. And just as the Jhin, you're to play utility. The fact is, as the ranged character in this game, you need to be able to find positioning that is safe enough to stay away from a lot of these members of Supernova. And they're just getting crashed upon constantly now. And their team fights, we haven't seen a straight-on 5v5. I think the one we've seen is around Rift Herald, and that was completely botched. Psycho, what are you doing, bud?
I'm not going to say a thing here.
Nope. Okay, yeah, so that was just completely no man's land. Like, he's on a war, too. He has flash. That may have been slightly illegal.
That is some moralizing,
anyway,
moralizing
game 3.
deaths.
Of course, is coming up.
He's waiting for game 3. He's pretty done with this one. Gale Force is done. He's got that, you know?
Yeah, look, Gale Force CD's back up. Poggo,
Yeah,
Austria. Okay, let me not say that. I'm gonna get cursed.
Got flash.
See another one. He did have flash during that whole play, so he definitely recognized, like, I think I'm dead here, gamers. There we go. So, yeah. Eric, how's your day been?
It's better than Psycho modes. I'll say that much.
I was really hoping to get away from bullying this guy, but respect. Respect for that one. We got another turret going down. It is 5-0. If there weren't dragons, and if they also didn't add plates to this game, probably would have been a perfect one. There's also 2 deaths. Anything to try to help out Supernova on this one. Sean did promise me that this was going to game 3 after that first one, so good on him.
Same. Yeah, he sent me a message saying this is going to game 3.
Yep.
We're not losing this one.
Nope.
It was just a simple mistake. We're angry. And, yep. Yeah, it shows, Sean. It shows. You guys...
Good enough.
You didn't take that loss with grace.
I'm okay with that. You know, they obviously are doing a lot better this time. They also did it in a completely different fashion, right? Like, Fire Theft, pretty quiet this game. Has a hull breaker. He's just vibing in another lane.
Vibing.
He literally doesn't care. He got 1 gank one time, and it's like, whatever. And here's U of T. Hail Mary toss. Let's see if they can grab the dragon. Supernova in the lead.
I'm just watching Psycho.
Yep.
Okay, this is
Good
Death
positioning.
Ref's only chance to try and get something good here. Leap of Faith goes off. He has the positioning working for him. He's getting the damage and gets onto Pseudo. Pseudo falls, but Psycho gets gunned down. It's actually Psycho taking down Psycho mode, but there's a double kill coming out from Def Ref, but he cannot get another Tentacles of Slam for the hills, so Psycho picks up that double kill. 3 down for Toronto, only losing Fire Theft and Pseudo, but it's going to be Drake picked up for Supernova.
Why is it another Hextech map as well? We're just not allowed to have fun. Run, boys, you're in enemy territory. Get the Yakety Sax, it's time. Benny Hill music is on. Copyright DMCA is off. Blue, there's the ultimate from the Lux. Walk it on out.
Oh, they're not done. Ah, they're going out.
Ariel!
He's got Predator 2. He's going for it. Oh, he couldn't get over the wall. He's still not done. He's still not done. This is some Michael Myers stuff right here, Alt.
No.
This is terrifying. Alton, run for your life, man. Get out of there.
I love the Michael Myers thing where he's just like, you look away and he just teleports behind you. It's just instantly he's there. It's instant transmission Galio at this point. Defref, I think, wins this. Never mind, I'm an idiot. There we go. All right, so again, Desrux is the point of the show where I shut up. I said something wrong, which means chat's flaming. Arian Del, solo.
I mean, I can't keep up. I can't keep up. Everyone's dying. Everything's happening. There's a play that happens here. There's a play that happens there. For some reason, we got a 9-1-6 and a 9-0-4. Caitlyn and Galio. Supernova. They're closing this out.
Desrux, that speech there almost gave me like Final Girl vibes. You're just like, everyone's dying. I'm the only one left. I can't keep up. Michael, leave me alone. And then, you know, something supernatural happens. You blow up the house. You just are like, he just leaves. He's like, I'm gonna wait for the sequel.
Is this what Toronto's about to do?
Yeah, I think Toronto, they didn't want a sequel. Like, they really wanted to close out on the second film, but they're recognizing the second one kind of bombed. It's kind of like Spy Kids a little bit. They needed a third one and hopefully try to save the series. It's not working.
Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Like, you see Blue walking up, you're expecting, he's just going to stop the backs. What a playful little... And he's dead.
Yeah. It comes with the territory of being up for 14,000 gold. You lose a lot of agency, you lose a lot of that free will that you usually can exercise on Summoner's Rift. After a while, the opponents just like start walking in like a really bad landlord, and they're just like, "Hey, I need you to move out. We've got people taking over the neighborhood. They're going to be changing the building into a high-rise complex. So, need you to... Sorry, we've loved you. You've been a great tenant, U of T. We're going to see you in Game 3.
Good way to put it. And it is the story of this game. Supernova, they're coming back with authority. They felt that defeat, and I was saying it earlier. They do have little de-stressing rituals. They do have ways to get rid of that tilt. Well, they worked it off for that game 1, and they came back with authority in this game 2, as the only thing they're able to really get a kill on is that ghost right there from Def Ref.
Yep, and you see right here, like, Caitlyn does so much damage. And Fire Theft, he's got some assists. One of my favorite parts of Hullbreaker is when you ping the item on yourself in your game, it'll come up with, I'm hunting alone, and if there are champions next to you, there's 2 different texts that come up. If there's someone like within 100 units, it says, you are way too close, and there's a second one where it's, leave us alone.
Oh, look at the bottom lane while they try and force this play. Toronto, they will get Fire Theft. There's the knock-up coming out. Looking for more with the leap of faith, but unable to finish the job. Supernova too big at this stage to get a double kill onto Psycho. Arendelle looking for the flank. Psycho mode. Wrong place to be. Psycho gonna claim really Psycho supremacy with that triple kill.
Yep. Maybe, okay, look. Everybody's got to win at this point for Psycho versus Psycho mode. This is the game to determine supremacy, like you were saying. Game 2 going over to the side of Supernova, and it was all SN all game. It was just them dominating from the laning phase onward.
And they're not done. They're not done. This game's over, but hey, you know, this is the tailgate party. We're going to take a couple of dubs during that. And an easy victory picked up there for Supernova in that game number 2, coming back with authority.
Just like Supernova, we really didn't have to sweat the broadcast on the second game. We were just chilling after 15 minutes. We're like, okay, all the turrets are down. They're getting kills. No one from U of T can kind of show up. And with a pretty experimental draft, I give them kudos for attempting it. There were some really cool things we got to see. But all in all, Supernova kind of wiped their hands clean. They're like, okay, we're going to clean that out way better than from game one.
I like the way things went off because it was a complete flip from game one in more ways than one. You know, we had fire theft popping off in game one. They just set him on an island, give him a wet noodle, and he keeps to his own business while the rest of Supernova instead decide it's their turn. Arundel, sandbag in game number one, the hero of game number two.
Yeah?
The script's been flipped, man. The script's been flipped.
So now he becomes the villain of game three.
Oh.
He takes like a really innocent champion and makes it look super nasty. So I'm looking forward to that. Arundel, you got a lot of narrative weight behind you in this game three. I hope you're ready for it. It's a lot of pressure, I understand, coming from the broadcast here at EPL. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's scary, right? Like, Supernova are trying stuff and obviously playing from a deficit in game one. I think that's actually really important for this team, as Supernova had some stumbling blocks so far throughout Proving Grounds, and games like those are really important for building up the team.
Yeah. As we said before, we do have that like El Clasico going on Monday for the Proving Ground Circuit qualifiers of Maryville versus Supernova.
Yeah.
So, you know, getting victories like this, being able to adjust on the fly and try and get yourself ready for one of these best of threes, at least to get yourself in an advantageous situation, takes a lot of development.
Yep.
That being said, it's now Toronto's turn to try and find some of that development as they take the L in this game too. Now we're both at match point, so I'm going to throw it over a short break. When we return, we'll get into game number 3 of University of Toronto versus Supernova. Welcome back, everyone, to the Unified Premier League. After I posted that tweet, Alk, I was so close to saying the wrong esports organization for a second. As we return to the matchup today, University of Toronto taking on Supernova, and we're at match point for both squads, 1-1 apiece. One more dub, winner gets to take the series, and what a comeback for Supernova after we had a comeback game of Toronto.
Yeah, talk about like way different styles of winning the game. University of Toronto holding out for dear life, and then Supernova very promptly afterwards stomping them out and saying, yeah, the first game was a mistake on our part. We weren't able to clean that out. To kind of just make sure that we have the narrative correct as well, they were winning most of that game one. It was up until they lost it, obviously, that we were in disbelief. We had set it up like, okay, Supernova, they're going to take the Nexus, they're going to set up, but it was up to University of Toronto. They were able to make pretty awesome defense there, and still 2 games in a row now, we've seen pretty solid early games from Supernova, and now finally they're able to close it out. Game 3, looking for more of the same there.
Yeah, and with that last draft, what it really came down to was Supernova went for something that had both dominance in the lanes and had a lot of agency in the 5v5 team fight in the way they could play the map, right? It was an easy to execute composition. It worked well. It worked wonders. It was straightforward and to the point. Now for the side of the University of Toronto, I want to know what they adapt here, because what we saw from them, I didn't feel like it was puzzle pieces that were really going together that well, that were really meshing that well, despite a strong performance out of Def Ref with that Alawi in the early game.
Yeah, there were just too many different pieces going all over the place. And we said similar things, I think, in Game 1, right? Where we were not particularly sure if these different champions were going to come in and synergize particularly well with what they wanted to do. But this time around in Game 2, it definitely didn't go the way that they expected. And so now, back on blue side, do we see the return of... Or do we even kind of switch up the bans here as already Xin Zhao's hitting the table this time around?
Now, Xin Zhao going to be banned away. Haven't seen him banned in the last couple of games. So already a change-up coming out from Toronto. Now that they have that first pick priority, a champion that comes to mind right away is going to be Galio. This has now been like kind of one of the bigger picks between both of these teams, who like those instant map plays in the early game to go for those tower dives.
I mean, we're talking about Galio as a global champion, but so far throughout the series, we've seen Galio as like a lane bully. Killing, both mid laners just like killing each other constantly, going to other lanes and finding kills. That has been really exciting to watch. This does mean that U of T, at least so far, have dropped the Rise ban. And I think giving that over to Ariandel is really, really dangerous. I think there's 2 champions that come to mind when I think of this guy. It is the Rise, and it is Twisted Fate. And obviously, Twisted Fate has kind of fallen out of favor so far in the mid matchups, but I mean, giving another Rise game to this player is very, very dangerous. So I wonder if U of T are going to go back to that, or if they're going to be ones to soak up the Lee Sin ban.
Yeah, you were talking about that TF. It is something he has played this year, though, so it's not something he would shy away from, even if the meta is not exactly the most for him. As the final set of bans come in, we are getting a lot more marksman bans coming out this time from University of Toronto. We both the Caitlyn and the Zeri.
Okay, so what does Supernova say? Are they going to continue taking away the Lee Sin? Are they going to ban the Jinx? Because they are on red side, and I think it'd be really, really dangerous if you're going to give this up. And if we're talking about wanting to play aggressive ADCs, getting in their face, Samira is still available, guys. Obviously, I think there's going to be they're going to need a draft to set her up, but it is a champion that has gotten 3 buffs in a row now. I'm looking forward to if we can get more of that, because I know a lot of AD carries miss the Kaisa Samira meta. So much fun.
So many juicy things have gotten through the draft. Oh, you're waiting for it? Ah! Oh, they teased you so much on that one. It's like, I have no idea. I have no idea. It's like they heard you directly. You were talking straight at them. Oh, I'm sorry, please. Oh, come back. Someone resuscitate him, please.
Bedge. That's all I'm gonna say. Bedge.
Wait.
I'm mad. See? Dude, they must be hearing that. They're actually listening to the chat, man. It's so doomed. It's so disgusting. Guys, get out of Twitch chat. Please. Raygoms, Sean, I don't know if you're typing to them during the game. Get out. Okay? I don't need you listening to the Don't you have a game to win? Don't you have a series? You promised me a 3-game series. Now win the damn series. They got Karma. Obviously, a very strong champion and can facilitate a lot of what we've seen so far for U of T. But Supernova saying we're going to take the Aphelios side of the match. We do not care what you play. We've already gotten rid of you've gotten rid of the Caitlyn for us, so not a lot of matchup that we're afraid of for our scaling marksman.
So taking stock of what champions are still available, the one that's always available is Gwen. Apparently both of these champions just really don't like that champ for some reason. Other things that come to mind are other champions. Galio would be one of them. It's one that we saw in game number 1, game number 2. I brought it up earlier. Graves is still on the table. Again, Galio can bring that very aggressive front line.
Stop. Nope, don't even acknowledge it.
I acknowledge it. It's too late. Wait, Misfortune. Okay.
All right.
Okay, we got something here.
Good. I like this. I actually think Misfortune is really strong. Unfortunately, for most marksman player, Misfortune's just boring. Like she doesn't have a very champion, deep champion. She's not very fun to play. Particularly, she has very straightforward play patterns. You press E. You press Q most of the time on the minion wave, and you ult. And that's about it. You have a very strong poke lane here in the bot lane. However, the Nautilus can make this very dangerous if Misfortune at all gets caught out. It's going to be on Karma. We're going to have to see Blue really step up, have a lot of responsibility in the bot lane as a support here.
But on the flip side, if Pseudo is not able to get those hooks, then you have to deal with a lot of the base damage and a lot of the oppression that can come out of a Karma MF lane. If Karma does go to the support role, it is something that can be flexible towards the mid and top roles, if that were to be the case. But it would be a pretty damage-heavy lane, at least harass-heavy lane to deal with for Supernova.
Yeah, they have really easy ways of pushing the wave. Aphelios, if they ever decide, U of T are okay, we need to get this wave and push it out into the enemy turret, you can drop both of your poke spells. They do damage at the same time to Aphelios and Nautilus, so should be pretty easy for them. And now we get to see Deserex some pretty interesting stuff, because Galio's finally banned, and there's the rise for Aryan Delt. This is, I think, going to be very dangerous, just because Karma plus Udyr is a super deadly combo, and the build path available for the Misfortune, if she goes lethality, she can pick up a Sorelda's Grudge, and that bullet rain just becomes bullet pain. And instead, getting the LeBlanc take care of the backline, and Udyr does nothing.
I like this. I like this because the early game agency you really get from this, the damage you can bring in. I've seen it happen so many times in the early game where you just chain the Lee Sin and LeBlanc damage together at the early levels before you're even able to get pre-6, and you could take someone down within 2 seconds quite quickly.
Yep.
It's a huge threat to be picked up. Response out of Toronto is hovering the Aatrox for now.
Okay, so they lock that in, getting a fighter top lane for U of T. So getting a lot of Karma value. Karma stonks are going up, and that means that immediately Defref looking for an old school counter matchup against the LeBlanc. Wow, okay, U of T, they're going full late game here with the Kassadin, and this is pretty dangerous. You have a LeBlanc Lee Sin on the enemy team. This is the ultimate kill combo. As a jungle 2v2, they could go anywhere on the map. They will always have priority versus Kassadin. So, kind of a risky look yet again from U of T, kind of getting spicy in the mid lane. This is definitely the game that, if we're looking for coin flip and we're trying to go late game, U of T, this is your bread and butter, baby.
I'm trying to take stock of University of Toronto opting in for this Kassadin. There is one on record as of this year, so it is a champion that Defref is very comfortable in. This is going to be pretty tricky, though. You are going against LeBlanc. You're not while you can neutralize LeBlanc, while you can go even, it's still going to be a struggle in keeping that LeBlanc into lane where she can get freed out, because Lee Sin will be hovering that a lot. Lee Sin will be watching that lane quite a bit pre-6.
Yeah, I mean, even just talking about keeping her in lane, you have to keep her from killing you. Yeah, you have a small magic shield, but by the time the silence is over and by the time the shield is over, LeBlanc is ready to fight you. Distortion forward, kill your minion wave, push out, and again, she has Lee Sin in her back pocket, whereas you have Udyr. You have two melee champions against two rather mobile damage carries for Supernova. So, kind of a, if at any point Ariandel gets a lead in this matchup, U of T have to start worrying. Misfortune becomes almost irrelevant. Karma can't do anything. And Aatrox, well, he's just standing there. He's doing like the hearty laugh in the background. I don't have a voice mod like Rafa, so I can't really do it. I'm also kind of highly pitched. But he's gonna be pretty useless. He's not gonna do anything in this game.
You just gotta like do the old cup trick that like automatically do something like that, you know.
I was gonna say you put the cup over your mic and you immediately turned into like the adults from what is it, Peanuts, or like Charlie Brown sitting there and all the adults. Like, yeah, you can't actually hear what the adults are saying. They're immediately. That's exactly what you sound like. You put the cup over it. There you go.
All right, ready for this final game of Supernova versus University of Toronto. And with this composition of Supernova, I love it. It's explosive. And it has so much early game and mid game prowess to really enable Psycho for that late game of Aphelios.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much going for Supernova. They have a really good top lane matchup as well. I think Baco has so many different looks that he can go for here. 2 matchups in his solo lanes that can look very, very dangerous. And I like this from Ariandel, taking a pretty early distortion over the Dragon Wall, gets a ward on the red buff. As soon as they can track Ulton, we saw in the last game, the minute that they were able to see exactly where Ulton was, the pathing just got tracked, and Udyr had very little impact, was just kind of stuck, relegated to farming out his camps, while Baco on the Xin Zhao was making moves and making plays to win his team the game.
See if Ulton can finally get that impact, because he definitely believes in this Udyr. It's his second time drafting it. He just hasn't had the impact that he's been looking for. A lot of that was just that early game presence we got from Supernova, the control of the lanes that we saw. Baco is still on a champion that enables that. You know, Lee Sin is kind of the classic early game jungler to have. That early mobility, that execution damage, Sonic Wave, Resonating Strike. You're already seeing a little bit of a preview of what's going to go on in the mid lane as Ariandel jumps right onto Def Ref.
Okay, quickly, before any kind of super sick action comes down, I want to have a little bit of a quiz for everybody. Supernova, obviously we talked about the long-standing nature of this team coming into Amateur and across League of Legends. How many Supernova players, I'll have to hold Pseudo, looking for a trade here, few pots. How many players from Supernova have gone to Academy or LCS? Is the number 12, 13, 14, or 15? Everybody in Twitch chat, get your numbers out. We'll reveal it at 5 minutes because I have the number on my screen.
Okay, I actually
Guess, Rex,
don't know.
do you want to take a guess?
I'm gonna take a guess on 13.
Okay.
And this is a hard guess because I am honestly not going off of anything here.
Okay, that's fine. You know, 13, good guess. I'm not going to say any more. We're not going to spoil it for the homies.
Now you got me curious. I'm just going to die. I'm just dying for these next 2.5 minutes.
I will let you know, there is also people who were players that turned into staff. I will most likely reference Artemis, now part of EG, was a player in 2017 on Supernova.
Okay. So we've got a load for Supernova being unloaded onto Toronto over in the bot lane. A good chunk of damage on the blue, falls to 200 health. Kind of seeing what happens when Pseudo is able to land that hook. Now Baco with the invade has priority from Fire Theft to follow along for this duo invade.
This is super dangerous for U of T. Right here, sicko mode.
Oh yeah, down. As Psycho will grab that one. The invade coming out from Supernova, waiting for the stun is Fire Theft. Doesn't get it, but there you go. Supernova in this bottom lane. You see what happens when Pseudo is able to put that hook on you.
The minute that wave in bot lane gets stacked up like that and you give priority over to the Nautilus, as a Misfortune, as really any AD carry that isn't named Ezreal, it is so difficult for you to deal with them. It is one of the hardest things to try to kind of mitigate. It's usually up to your Karma to either tank it up for you or give you the movement speed shield to maybe hope that you can dodge out on, especially as Misfortune, who has a ton of movement speed packed into her kit. But we saw right there, really great punish from Pseudo to grab that kill. They crash a pretty massive wave, so some gold and a little bit of experience that Sicko Mode is going to be missing out on, as Baco made a play on top side. They're looking for Kassadin.
Looking after Def Ref, going to use the clone, sent in the other direction. He realizes it too late. Baco make that kill look easy, and that's what you do. It's It's a pre-6 casted in. You gank it. He doesn't have his Rift Walk. Results in a kill for the mid lane.
Oh no, sicko mode, no!
Oh, puts down the exhaust. But Sicko, come on. We've seen this before, Psycho.
Wait,
We've seen this before, and he's gonna rewrite the script. Can he get in range? Blues trying. Psycho falls to Pseudo. Finally, the shield comes in.
Oh no!
Wait from Psycho. He gets away. He's trying to dance.
He's dead.
He's tried, but he finally falls. What a wild trade in the bot lane.
And there's even a solo kill from Notice Me Senpai, utilizing the Ignite, getting the flash out of the Aurelia, and what looked like a pretty big mistake. There's one thing that ends up changing it, and it is Pseudo missing the hook, trying to predict the flash onto MF, misses it, and it turns the fight completely. It leaves them without any way of getting out, and with Ulton and Blue coming in to kind of try to save that play, Ulton recognizes, my bot lane's got this, I'm going to go back to farming. Blue, the ultimate hero here. And in the first 5 minutes, we've had two different support players kind of step up and make pretty big changes for the bot lane.
Now a kill over to Psycho mode. Getting that at the later half of that fight, making sure he's not going to fall off and that this Aphelios isn't going to get online too early. And that's the thing about the MF. Takes less itemization before you start to see her explode in lane. Before you start really worrying about those double ups. Now Ulton on this top side going after Fire Theft, who's going to try and dance, but there's not that many minions to dance with. Ulton with the bear slap onto the back. Kill over to Notice Me Senpai.
Fire Theft, he may be a little young for this reference, but you can dance if you want to. You can leave your friends behind. And that's what ends up happening. Ulton comes up top. He says, oh, you're by yourself, honey. There you go. You're dead. Free kill for us. No TP. And Notice Me Senpai spending 2 games, I think, going up against Fire Theft, where I think Fire Theft had the better side of the matchup and definitely took advantage of that. Now coming into his own, getting a little bit more resources from his jungler. It is looking good.
You're going to have a lot more power towards this top side of the map. Already a plate taken for Notice Me Senpai. And we'll have a great time to take a recall. Doesn't have teleport. Doesn't really matter. The wave's crashing into the tower. He'll happily take this walk back after getting his first big purchase here. Going to keep an eye on that purchase. Long swords galore. Grab the boots as well.
Okay. I think Pseudo's going to look for it. Okay.
Ooh, lands the hook.
Psycho's
Psycho in a world of hurt. Pseudo paying for that one. He goes after Psycho mode, slams down the anchor onto the marksman. Now Ulton and Baco at war with each other, trying to hop away. Will be Pseudo. Sonic Wave goes out. Baco not going to follow up, just a dissuader. But Ulton gets the better. Still going to be a trade in the bot lane.
That is basically every single Misfortune matchup ever, is as soon as their support engages, if you have a Karma, you run at enemy AD and you kill them. Similar things with something like a Thresh or the Leona. If you just trade ADs, if you trade your bot laners there, it's a pretty favorable matchup for you. And you see that there for the side of Supernova. And so now, coming back to our poll, specifically, I guess I should have specified for the homies as Psycho tries to step up in this lane. I think he's just dead. Yeah, okay. Yep, he's gone. So, while this is happening, I should have specified he lives with heal. Okay. These are Supernova player/staff who moved on to Academy or LCS who had no prior Academy or LCS experience.
Okay.
The correct number was not 12. It was not 14. Unfortunately, Deserex, it was not 13 either. It's 15. Most recent addition to Academy LCS was Chime. So, really great stuff there. The earliest was 2015. Phil, formerly support for CLG Academy. And just some notable people just from the staff side. Hax Defender was a player, moved on, is now working with Team Liquid, and previously was with Riot. So, great stuff there.
Yeah, I remember, oh, what was it? Hax Defender was their two-way coach over in Team Liquid.
Yep, 2017.
We'd have,
he was on Supernova in 2017, and now he's at Team Liquid.
That's always nice to hear, though, because that's what you want from the North American amateur scene. You want to hear that these players are moving on up. I've said it like 3 times now, towards the next stage of their career. It's an important thing for North American developmental to have orgs like Supernova.
Yeah, we've got Proving Grounds going on as well, and obviously a lot of these players, there's so much cross-pollination between amateur tournaments in general and proving grounds now. So a lot of practice there as Baco having to sit up here, protect Fire Theft as we get back to this game. It's been a pretty calm couple of minutes compared to what we've seen from both of the last 2 games and what's even happened in this one, right? Like, pretty big crash there, doesn't necessarily get punished, and for the side of U of T, with this next Dragon coming up in 2 minutes, we're looking for them to continue this lead, continue playing around it, and I think specifically, I'm kind of looking at Defref, who, despite dying to the jungle gank, is still very healthy in this lane, is even winning some trades versus the LeBlanc.
You wanted to shut off Defref much more than you're able to get, as in a force engage onto Psycho. Pseudo beautiful with the disengage on the death charge. Zalton will clear away a control ward. Walking up will be Baco and Arundel. They try and find Alton, try and protect their bot lane. Disengage coming out from Toronto.
Oh, and I love this from Psycho. You're recognizing, I'm not going to be able to step off the wave. The Gromp is there, and because of how much HP Gromp heals you, he goes back, picks it up. He's basically back to 60% HP there, so really good stuff. They're able to come back out onto this wave. And there is still Rift Herald. Fire Theft.
A little bit of a misstep there with the Q. World Ender, notice me Senpai, gets the kill in the 1v1 on the top side, and that is kill number 3. World Ender is now online, flashing forward, will be the bear slap onto Pseudo, but he's underneath the tower as the bullet time is channeled. Will not really find too much there. Alton a little bit over-ambitious with that flash, but
I like that flash.
Ethereal Chains looking for the Rift Walk underneath the tower. Baco, beautiful Dragon's Rage denies any more cast from Defref.
Oh, it's so close, and Ulton, can it get in range? He has no flash, so he's just going to have to walk back out. Another kill that he can't get onto Ariandel after his mid lane went in there. Good stuff coming out from Baco, wanting to put the pressure in on the mid lane like we had referenced. So many different things going on. I mean, Defref, again, almost won that 1v1, and that was through flash and ignite from Ariandel. He still has both of his summoner spells, and we did talk a little bit about the top lane matchup. Notice me Senpai obviously playing a lot for the lane. You have to play so carefully on any kind of solo laner if you're going to take Ignite. The TP makes it so much easier to kind of play against. If you've made a mistake, you can TP back to lane. You can play for the lane or play for your map as long as the game is going a little bit longer. And so this is just great for them. Defref. Oh!
Arndell gets quite a bit hurt. Oh, the Sonic Wave, the Resonating Strike expired as he flashed over the wall. Will not get the follow through, but hey, that's for the better. That is for the better, because Dragon was just picked up by Toronto. If he followed through, he would have met 2 more members of Toronto.
And again, the flash right there, he tries to get away from Baco, costs so much space. And that just means it prevents a 3rd death here. But the Rift Herald going down here, the timer is about to expire. Supernova, they want gold. They need it right now, especially with how even this game is. There's so many memes around Kassadin. TikTok, you're checking your clock and it's, level 16 Kassadin. Psycho using the Gale Force gets some distance, gets knocked up and slain. Psycho, barely by the skin of his teeth, survives. Both of them playing to their namesake there. That flash over the wall is incredibly ambitious. You already have the bullet time. Invest that. You just flashed through the turret that is still standing there. And Psycho living on single-digit HP numbers there. A kill against the enemy ADC. Will obviously try to kind of come back into this lane as has a 20 CS deficit, and there's 3 plates. Any little bit of gold that Supernova can get is appreciated right now.
I'm not a fan of that play from Toronto, not at all. I mean, when you have a lead going on to your MF, last thing you want to do is trade 1-for-1 with an Aphelios who is trying to get the gold income to get towards that late stage.
Psycho, not this one. Not this wave, buddy.
Yeah, not this wave. We'll put out the bullet time. It's damage onto Psycho. It's damage onto Baco. Blue, right place. Finishes off a kill onto the jungler. Here comes the Ethereal Chains. Tries to jump back in. Got to be careful of that bear slap of Alton. Now the retreat of Supernova as Defref Rift walking in towards this bottom lane. A quick distortion and freedom is there.
Kassadin, I was kind of worried about that because Kassadin doesn't have a lot of mana right now, unless he's super close to level 11 and the Lost Chapter proc will come out. This turret shouldn't go down. There's not enough range from them. Should be able to farm this out at distance. And again, that's one of those waves as a marksman. You need to have patience. You need to recognize, okay, their jungler was just here. Ariandel on this LeBlanc is no longer in mid lane. I don't think I can step up on this mini wave. I just need to wait. If I miss out on the moving wave, it sucks. It's terrible. I understand. But I don't have my support. My jungler is almost there. If he waits even 5 seconds, maybe he can get that wave. Maybe he doesn't die there.
Notice Me Senpai is so far ahead of Fire Theft as we hit 15 minutes into this game. And we're going to start to see the power he's acquired leak out. 5 strong is going to be Supernova, now beginning their assault onto Notice Me Senpai. Jump forward, coming out with the safeguard.
Oh,
Hey,
my.
don't have to deal with the numbers game. And that is a shutdown going over to Psycho. That is the worst case scenario for Toronto on that engage.
Is that just the caster curse, however? Because you had just mentioned, man, Notice Me Senpai has such a huge lead.
Yeah,
700 gold going over to Psycho is not what you want to see if you're U of T. And for Supernova, giving them hope back into this game. They've gotten both of the Rift Heralds now at this point. They need to be able to convert these into tangible advantages from this point on.
7-7 doesn't really tell you the state of the game, as it is just so much control from Notice Me Senpai on the top side, but Supernova finally quelling that as they try and get their Aphelios more and more online. That first item completed with the Gale Force. LeBlanc taking note of that Leandries that's been completed. Lots of damage coming out from Supernova, even with that Gore Drinker, Caulfield's Warhammer out of Baco. And at a good time, 58 seconds before the dragon spawns, you're starting to see the resets come out from Toronto as they want to make sure they're coming on time for that Drake.
And there will be a really important wake-up timer here, speaking about itemization for Defref, as already level 11. This is a cheeky Death Brush. I like how Defref has like the second wit, the sixth sense. He's like, someone's in that brush. I am not gonna stand there. I am good. They're stacking it up. Ulton's coming through.
Oh, jumping in. They gotta be quick onto this kill on Ulton. They take him down, but Defref gets revenge. Now 2-on-1 as Baco survives the onslaught, dashes away, Rift Walk over the wall. Dragon spawns in the next 18 seconds. Jungler down for Toronto.
Okay. Really big pick here for Supernova as they're able to find that kill onto Ulton. Will stop the dragon being taken. Baco's going to spawn in this Rift Herald so he can get another turret. Defref, you need to be close. You need to be pretty safe here as any Sonic Wave lands and he dies, but Baco is going to go down.
Ooh, Baco tries to flash, can't break the tether. Mantra Q comes out over the wall with the Rift Wall comes Defref. We'll grab that kill. The second kill of the game as Notice Me Senpai starts putting his authority into the river. Supernova respecting it.
And Kassadin's about to finish Seraph soon. He already has a Blasting Wand. 327 on this tier means it is almost here. Ariandel's going to re-enter blue a little far up.
Ooh, hook doesn't land. It's not needed. Diving forward. It's going to be a shutdown. Psycho grabs that. Teleport now coming out. Waiting for the bullet time from Psycho. Modus. Fire Theft gets taken down.
Oh my.
Psycho grabbing that one. Pulled back in is Pseudo and Defref picking up that kill. Picking up whatever else he sees here that has the name Supernova attached to it. Arundel with the distortion over the wall will guarantee him some safety, but it can't guarantee the Drake as Toronto will grab that one.
Hold me, Eric.
I'm holding.
I'm scared.
I'm scared too.
Right now. There's a Kassadin. He's level 12. He's got so much gold, and you know we didn't get to talk about it, and I think a lot of people didn't talk a lot about the mage changes. I think a lot of eyes were, oh my god, we have Shadow Flame. Poggers. Mages have a really cool damage item on second instead of waiting for the tier items. But they got changed, right? And they kind of fell out of favor for a lot of the mid lane mages because now they imply a lot of healing based on your mana. Kassadin became a huge monster after that patch. Like, the itemization change helped him out so much, and while he does kind of still have the same tendencies in terms of a pretty weak laning phase, the fact that he's now able to get Seraphs and it heals him kind of turns him into a drain tank, and with a lot of damage to boot.
Yeah, you're seeing what happens if he's able to find anyone who is on the squishier side. Arundel, he ran, he was full health when he stood opposite of Def Ref, had to distort over the wall to be able to stay alive, and just barely. So this Kassadin is online. This Kassadin is something that Supernova are going to have to find a way to quell, a way to check. Otherwise, it's going to find them. It's going to eat them. It is going to destroy them. Def Ref on a rampage.
Oh my god. He almost just one-shot him. He pressed R and he's like, be gone. Psycho mode now, just going to be hitting onto this mid-turret. At any point, honestly, if you just drop bullet time on top of the Make It Rain from the Misfortune, Psycho does have to just flash or Gale Force out. There's no way he actually just lives here. Especially since you're going Collector second, it is going to be really, really painful for any AD carry or any of the squishier members to really walk up unless they can one-tap the Misfortune.
Arundel low as he tries to shove in this top side. It's a little bit of health in as the rest of Supernova are going to establish some vision towards this Baron side and start an engage onto Notice Me Senpai. Arundel has to get out of there. Be careful!
Okay.
Notice Me Senpai falls. Arundel will take him down, but Psycho is isolated and Def Ref sees him unstoppable as he cuts him in half.
Kassadin is just one of those champions where see hero, most of the time kill hero. I am just going to go in, immediately take you off the map. And while Supernova, they end up going 1 for 1, they lose out on a turret here. U of T taking the scaling element to a whole different level. They had a really good bot lane matchup. They took advantage of the mid lane where Arundel hasn't had much kill pressure. Really lucky distortion that you're able to come back to that one, because that would have just ended up in a death otherwise. And 40 CS down, how do they play on side lanes? Because Fire Theft has been taken out of this game. Def Ref kills anybody on the Supernova lineup now.
Oh, Sonic Wave lands.
Okay.
Baco. Nope. I'm not sure about that one. Wait, can he get the Dragon's Rage in time? Gets the Sonic Wave! He gets the cooldown in time! That's a huge shutdown for Supernova! Stun, not gonna find its mark, and neither is the ultimate from Fire Theft. Now Notice Me Senpai, keep in mind, he's fed, he can bring damage, and he's gonna take down Fire Theft. Psycho gets the better of that as the bullet time comes out into Arundel. Arundel and Baco retreat towards the Raptor cap as Baco has to safeguard and leave his mid laner to fall. He will follow straight to the respawn as Notice Me Senpai has noticed the bot lane of Supernova, goes right after Psycho and Pseudo and keeps slamming down with the World Ender. Finally, Psycho gets some vengeance, takes down Notice Me Senpai, but a big team fight win coming out for Toronto.
U of T, University of Toronto, making huge statements in this game. Specifically, their solo laners, I think, having such a better Game 3 here. Aatrox, such a menace for Supernova to deal with. Aurelia this time. I mean, Fire Theft just taken out of this game completely. And while Arundel is trying to find kills on sides, trying to maybe find a creative angle, it is all on Baco to get these kills. You saw he got the kill onto Kassadin. Kassadin was able to respawn, get back out on the map, and immediately they assaulted, got the tier 2. There's a dragon spawning here, and it is Cloud Drake, but I'm sure Supernova are going to want to poise, want to look to try and assault for it, maybe try something cheeky, because they're certainly feeling the pressure. Def Ref, level 13, already finished. The Seraphs is going to be building out what looks to be a death cap as well. And none of the members of Supernova are built to withstand this champion.
The University of Toronto getting this win here and now, being in the lead here and now, is pretty big for them. Blue taking a good chunk of damage. As Ultin, Notice Me Senpai, this is their first year competing in the competitive scene, and they're going against pretty experienced players in the North American Amateur in the form of a lot of the roster of Supernova, a lot of the roster of Arizona State coming out from Supernova.
They're pressing buttons. It's time to fight.
Now here we go. Notice Me Senpai gets kicked away. Supernova, they're getting a great counter engage. Psycho's unchecked, and he's going to take down all of Toronto. Notice Me Senpai tries to find his escape, but the distortion finds him. 4 down for Toronto. Supernova fight back.
And 23 minutes of work for University of Toronto goes down the drain. Supernova immediately clap back. They get the Dragon. They get the Baron as well now. What was that fight? They're taking a front-to-back team fight versus Supernova. That is not what you want to do. You look at your composition. Aatrox on a flank is so deadly. Kassadin on a flank is exactly what you want. You would have thought, hey, You're going for a fight. You have all these mobile, agile members. Toronto just face check into Supernova, and they lose everything for it.
I can't compliment. I can't compliment. I just finished saying these first-year players going against some of the veterans
It's
of North
the
American
caster
Amateur.
curse 2 times now.
My goodness. Toronto getting demolished in that last Dragon fight. It was a brutal one. It finally gets the gold lead going back the way of Supernova. It's not to say that Toronto are out, though. They still have allocated resources in the right directions. They just got to do, as you said, Ulk, play it on the flanks.
Yeah, and that basically just kind of wiped the table, though. Like, it doesn't keep University of Toronto out, but for Supernova, it gives them a breath of fresh air, and it basically starts the game anew for them. They're back in the driver's seat. They can make proactive plays. Fire Theft definitely setting his team up, even if maybe he ends up going down himself. Doesn't really matter, as you get so much. They get another turret in top lane. They're getting gold just across the map. And unless they're able to make picks like this, play on flanks, Def Ref and Notice Me Senpai here, Fire Theft can continue to push on this top wave. And U of T look a little lost. They don't know if they should be engaging, if they should do something.
Ooh, I was waiting for that Sonic Wave to land. That could have been the end for Notice Me Senpai. Baeko hops in, safeguards right out. Notice Me Senpai holding the line. The rest of Toronto edging forward. Health bars getting lower for Supernova.
He's out of range.
Now the recall comes in. Here comes Death.
Oh, he
Death
missed
getting
it!
kicked away. Doesn't get onto Baeko. Baeko slips. Now Def Ref. Solo Sonic Wave lands onto him.
Oh!
Baeko takes him down. That is the primary carry. Falling for Toronto. Another Sonic Wave onto Notice Me Senpai. Ethereal Chains of Arendelle. And 4 down for Toronto as Supernova do it again.
We set it up! Baeko, it is all eyes on you. Can you find the kill onto Def Ref? And he just barely misses out on the Rift Walk. And with Baron still in their back pockets, they can continue to break open the game. And 23 minutes, it was all in favor of University of Toronto. Every play went right. Nothing they did went wrong. But now they find themselves almost getting eliminated at this point. They are probably going to lose this series off of this huge swing for Supernova.
Supernova, they're able to bring it back. They start finding these fights. They start finding these assassinations. You could see Baeko so pivotal in that last exchange to outsmart Def Ref and to get him that low to just finish him off with a Sonic Wave. That is disaster for Toronto. They need Def Ref alive. He is pivotal in the success of Toronto.
We basically took all of this time to say how important this casting was going to be, and 2 fights back to back have gone the favor of Supernova. Similar in vein to game 1, where one team, Supernova, was winning for most of it. This time around it was University of Toronto, and it took 2 lost team fights for them to, for the game to turn around. And now U of T kind of feeling the cosmic karma coming back. Supernova are like, the casters spent so much time building up the narrative of Supernova and Amateur. Bring it home. Give us our payback.
Depth charge onto Def Ref. Gets the knockup, but the focus will be Olton. Olton falls. Dragon's Rage onto Def Ref. Can't finish the job. Now Psycho isolated from Notice Me Senpai. Rooted over the wall. Sonic Wave lands. Baeko finishes him off. And that's another kill. The entire top side of the map deleted for Toronto. Supernova are putting on a death grip.
Every single time now, University of Toronto go for something, they cannot find success. They try to kill Psycho, it's not enough. And Toronto have to be feeling like they're grasping for air. The death grip that you mentioned is just constantly being applied upon them. Psycho is unkillable now. I mean, if you can't kill the enemy AD, what can you do as Toronto now? Arendelle's hard to kill. You have Baeko with the Maw of Malmortius, or the Hex Drinker, plus the Death Dance combo, makes him a huge problem to deal with.
We're waiting for this late game stage for Supernova. Part of that game plan was having a strong early game to mid game presence. It was stifled just a bit, but now we're at that late game stage where Psycho is online, has 3 items completed, a reset coming out from Supernova. You know he's going to cash in onto more after that last little exchange that they had. And let's take a look at what they're purchasing right now. You got the recall from Baeko, finishes the Maw of Malmortius, and a Maw picked up for Psycho. The Hex Drinker picked up for Psycho.
Good luck trying to kill them now as the Kassadin. You're going to need a lot of AP. Maybe after the death cap finish, it is possible, especially with the electric hit that he has. He is level 15. Maybe for University of Toronto, they can find a way back into this game. Again, play to the strengths that we saw in the first half of this game. It was finding picks. It was finding members going maybe a little too aggressive on the side of Supernova. And you get kills that way. You can set off every single team fight to be a 4v5, a numbers mismatch. And the past 6 minutes have been all Supernova, getting Baron, getting the Dragons, setting up all these turrets to be taken. U of T having to play yet again in their base.
Ooh, a little bit of a skip of a beat right there. Every time you see Arundel go over,
Yep.
it's a big question. Is he going to assassinate someone, or is Defref going to assassinate him? It's spooky here for both of these squads who have such strong mid laners. I mean, you still have the death cap completed, 3 items done
There we
for
go.
Defref, as he is getting that late game stage treatment as well.
And look at this. Baron is started. Pseudo sitting in this bush alongside Fire Theft. Level 16 for him. Fire Theft has actually came back so heavily as not only the itemization, but look at the levels as well. U of T cannot get in.
Oh, Baron taken. Supernova grab it. Alted gets pulled right back into Supernova's grasp. That is the jungler down 3 minutes until a dragon hits, so they're not going to wait for that one. They want to do a siege. They want to close this out within the next minute.
Show us how game 1 should have ended. Take the Baron, close it out. Look to push onto this turret, get this inhibitor. Ariandel did recall, so it'll be a 4-on-4 for the next 30 seconds here as U of T going to lose 2 of their inhibitors. Watching as Supernova try to put the nail in the coffin on this series.
2 inhibitors down. Toronto conceding those inhibs. They don't want to lose more than they did before, and for good reason. That game number 1, when they cut their losses, they found a comeback. That being said, this is not the composition that's going to make that as easy.
It's going to be difficult. And now, Desrux, I mean, the implications for this game, it's still pretty early on into the season, right? Like, we're playing a single round robin. This win for Supernova would put them into that 3-win echelon, which would keep their dreams alive of being in top 4, because obviously it is top 4 that makes it out of this group and goes on into the playoffs. A win here for U of T would, kind of put them a little bit closer and put them both at 2-2. And maybe it helps them as the rest of their group, again, it is a lot of those collegiate teams that we were talking about.
Now the focus of Supernova towards the bottom lane. Look at that super minion wave, both in the top and in the mid lane. Those are going to start pushing in naturally. Baroned up minions in this bottom lane. Battle line's drawn. Toronto, balls in your court.
They're trying to look for that, but the damage done onto blue is huge. And while they're pushing this in with supers, or with the Baron buff applied, Ariandel and Bako looking for any kind of kills they can make. The waves from mid and top are starting to crash. Everything around University of Toronto is starting to fall. Can they make a last-minute defense? Bullet time is up. Summoners for Defref and Psycho mode here.
All right, on to the Nexus Towers. Look at those candid up minions do some work. Comes the pop, the ultimate goes through. Good chunk of damage is going to send Toronto back to the respawn. Waiting for the engage out of Toronto. They have to make one more stand. They have to do it right now. They're being choked out. Arundel hops and goes after Defref. Defref only losing a quarter of his health. We're not seeing anything out of Toronto. They're just bleeding out.
They're not doing anything. They're waiting. More and more waves of super minions are coming in. Can Defref make a difference? They still have bullet time. What are they doing? U of T, breathe!
Ultimates are going off. There's the bullet time, but the Nexus Tower is down. Supernova can take their time. This is going to go down with the Whipper. Out comes the Dragon's Rage. Down goes Blue, and down goes Toronto as Supernova run right through them with a dominating return in this series.
They learned throughout this series. They made their adaptations. We said, look, game 1. You took way too long with triple inhibitors open. You had all the Nexus turrets down. Just let the minions end. You can force them. We got to see it there in that game where they just stood in front of them. They recognized you guys can't move away from this Nexus because we will end the game. And just let the minions end. That's all you have to do. You're an escort to these super minions at this point. So good job from Supernova to clinch that win, and going 3-1 in this group, obviously very important.
Now, all the congratulations to Supernova, but again, I want to
Mhm.
bring up a fact I was saying during the broadcast about Toronto, that a lot of these players, Olton, Notice Me Senpai, it's their first year actually doing something competitive.
Yes.
This was a great performance to see. Notice Me Senpai had a great lane against Fire Theft. Olton had his moments where he was big in bringing back Toronto from the grave in that game, number one.
Yes.
I think big hats off to this Toronto squad. It shows you why they qualified for the Eastern Conference. They're a force to be reckoned with here in the UPL.
Especially that mid jungle duo between those two is really impressive. Like you're saying, Olton doing really good. And there was definitely some moments in, I think, some of those games where Defref had pop-off performances against Ariandel, who is obviously playing in Champions Queue, playing in Proving Grounds, doing a lot there. So I think there's a lot of exciting things coming into collegiate. We talked about it a lot during the series that UPL has a ton of CLOL teams playing. So I think a lot of exciting things. Like you said, the Eastern Conference is getting to look at them. It's getting stacked everywhere you go, basically.
Yeah. But of course, it is Supernova's day. It was a
Mhm.
well-earned win for them. And, it's something where they can iron out a lot of these mistakes, a lot of these mishaps that are happening. It's great to see it here than, in stage such as the Proving Ground Circuit qualifiers that is happening on Monday. Keep bringing that up, but it is a very big match that Supernova are looking towards. So getting anything you can to get that morale boost is always very much welcomed. Hats off to Supernova and the way they played. Baco looks so sexy on that Lee Sin. Some of those
Yes.
Dragon's Rages. The one where he kicked the Kassadin into the tower just to stop any more chance of him actually getting off another spell, just to cut off his chance of getting an animation. That was beautiful right there. So, yeah, Supernova came together after that brutal defeat to have in game number one, and they showed that they can find those adaptions.
There's a reason why it was banned for the first two games, and the minute that it slips through the ban phase, Supernova snatched it up. They said, "Thank you for the free win. We'll make sure that you guys get maybe like a care package from the homies back on the staff." But a win for them is great. And again, like you said, Supernova are obviously looking for any kind of experience they can get going throughout the year. Their spring qualifier for most of PG hasn't gone so well. So the more reps you can get with this team, especially with how young some of these players are, is always going to be appreciated and something that they're alongside their coaching staff, right, that they're looking for.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for the broadcast here today. A quick shout out to our producer, Hyperten Scion. Always got to call him that. It doesn't matter if it's pronounced wrong. I'm your caster of the day, Eric Desirux Beltran. Joining me on
Because
the
it
desk
was.
is Dimitri Alk Battery Toledo. It's been so long, man. It's like a glove. It was
Yeah.
great to have you as a co-caster get here on UPL, brother. Any
Well,
closing statements?
I'm glad to be replacing, at least for tonight, Rebellious Kitsune. Shout out to him. I hope Dean is doing well tonight. And thank you, everybody at UPL, for having me. And congratulations to the players today, not only on the stream, but who are also playing in a lot of their other matches tonight.
All right. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time here on Unified Premier League.